you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff, even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm going to keep ticking. But no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing right now and take a moment. That felt good, huh? Just like that, we had a nice, special sort of moment together. Of course, they don't all need to be quiet moments to be special. They could be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. Sounds like somebody agrees. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Today, call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama, There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There's only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more. No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen? They play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Yeah!
Can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here.
With Errol Marks and Speedy Speedy.
You're not even a has-been. You're never was. You're never was.
It's going to snow tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Another snow day. I come back from Toronto, Niagara Falls, the Niagara Nightmare, as Speedy once called it last night. It's going to be crazy tonight. You are listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speeder. It's Speedy Petey time, baby. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey. All you have to do to tune in and look at all our local listings of our shows is you go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Speedy, I was out of breath today. I don't know what's going on with me.
Yeah, well, I'm going to call it self-inflicted like I always do.
Well, hold on 1 second. What do you mean self-inflicted?
You know.
What do you, no, I don't
You
know.
know.
What?
You know.
Explain to me what I do know. I mean, you don't comb your hair, do you? Do you use a brush?
How does hair correlate
I'm
with
just saying,
breath?
do you?
All right, anyone in elementary school listening right now, I hope you know that hair doesn't correlate to breath.
But
You might have to teach a 41-year-old.
Do you comb your hair, Speedy?
Do I breathe with my hair?
Do you comb your hair?
Do I? Let me know.
Well,
let me know when you could breathe with your hair, and I'll answer that
I
question.
could breathe on your hair if you want me to.
No. No, you may not.
Do you use gel? What do you use that? Do you use WD-40? It looks like it's a little greasy.
No, my grandfather loved WD-40, but not for his hair.
Did you ever try to put it in your hair? I think that would look good in your hair. It gives a little bit of a
If
shine.
my grandfather didn't put WD-40 in my hair, nobody else will.
But it would give it.
That's
a good
his specialty. It always will.
What
be.
about your specialty? What is your?
And it's not correlating to me. If he wanted to put it in my hair, I'm not doing it.
Well, why don't you use something else? I mean, do you need a brush? Should I give you
have a brush.
So why don't you use it?
I did.
You used the brush
8 hours ago. Yes.
8 hours ago? Well, maybe you should do it for another 5 minutes ago. What the hell did you do to your hair?
All right. After this 18 other things I have to do to produce the show.
Maybe you should go outside. It's windy. It could give a nice blow.
Not happening.
Why don't you just go
Not
outside?
happening.
Why are you that? Are you afraid of the wind?
I'm not going in the cold for no reason.
It is snowing.
I'm not going in the cold for
It's
no
flurrying right now as we speak.
Congratulations.
Are you ready? It's snowing. It's snowing. You like that?
And that was your today's local weather.
I don't know if it's the local weather, but hey, if
Why
you
are you reporting? Are you reporting?
If you want me,
are you reporting snow in Louisiana?
Yeah, it might happen. I mean, we've seen it in California. We've seen it in Florida. Why couldn't we see it in Louisiana?
I didn't say we couldn't. I'm just saying, how would you know?
I mean, would you swim with alligators in Louisiana?
No.
Would you do that?
No.
Why not?
I don't need to get eaten by an alligator.
I mean, but if you actually...
I'm not going to get eaten by an alligator.
If I gave you a machine gun, would you swim? Would you swim?
I don't know how to shoot a machine gun, so I don't care. And I'm not in the mood for hunting alligator.
I just think it's funny when I bring up animals, you get all like defensive,
Yeah, because I don't want to mess with creatures that could kill me.
You have a machine gun.
Okay, that doesn't mean I'm going
That'll
to
protect you.
That doesn't mean I'm going to shoot it well.
You better shoot it well, or you'll be eaten.
Duh. Good job, second graders. Second graders know the basic necessities. Teach a 41-year-old.
Wait a second. Are you making fun of my age right now? How about you?
No, I'm making fun of your knowledge.
Well, my knowledge is good, man. I could swim with the alligators.
Basically, you're saying, oh, if I don't hit the alligator with the gun, I'm going to die. Yeah, good job. Second grader will know.
Wait a second. Hold on one second. First of all, the alligators won't attack you unless you bother it, right?
Which I'm not going to do.
So you swim with it. You're not bothering it. You're just
You
swimming
don't
with
know
it.
that.
Well, you just swim with it.
All right, you test it out.
If I test it out, you have to.
No,
test
I
it
don't.
out.
I don't.
We share.
No, I don't.
In
They
the
don't
water.
correlate.
Well, it correlates.
They don't
to me.
correlate.
I think you should be open.
They don't correlate.
I just think you need to.
Of course you do.
Be laid back a little bit more.
Not happening with an alligator.
I mean, well, look at your hair, man. It's all over.
That doesn't correlate with an alligator. If an alligator's hungry, it's not going to care what the hair looks like.
Maybe it'll just spit your hair out.
Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know, and I'm not risking it.
All right. At 9 o'clock, we will be talking to former MLB outfielder and current Dodgers professional scout, our friend, Greg Golson. He'll be joining us. And at 9:30, we'll be talking to former Vikings and Jets linebacker, Erin Henderson. I don't know if you guys remember him, but I do. He played a little bit for the Jets in from 2008 to 2013. That was the Rex Ryan era. So, and by the way, he played in a couple AFC title games. So
no, he played with the Vikings then. He played with the Jets in 15 and 16.
You sure? I thought it was the 2008.
No, he played with the Vikings then. He played in the NFC Championship game with Brett Favre and Adrian Peterson, that team. Okay. The Saints. And then he played with the Jets the first 2 years of Todd Bowles.
So it was the Todd Bowles years.
Yep.
All right. Wonderful. So we'll have Erin Henderson on the show a little bit later. Jerry Jones says he didn't want to make drastic changes by bringing in a new head coach to replace Mike McCarthy. That doesn't mean he won't fire him at the beginning of the season if this team starts off slow. The Falcons officially scheduled a second interview with Bill Belichick. I'm not surprised. Usually when you hear a second interview means that they're probably closing the deal. They're negotiating contract situations and maybe the GM situation because he is probably taking over as the GM / head coach. I know a lot of people sitting here today is probably going to question why Bill Belichick wants to come back as a head coach. And I will tell you that he wants to break Don Shula's record. That is the only reason why he wants to come back and coach. If he coaches at least 3 more years and wins about 8 to 9 games, he should break Don Shula's record. So I expect him to break it, and then he'll ride off into the sunset like Peyton Manning did as a quarterback and like some of the coaches that we've seen over the years do. And he'll go down as the greatest coach of all time because he'll have practically all the records. The Eagles will bring back Nick Sirianni, but other changes at the coaching staff is more likely. I will say this. The fact that the Eagles are bringing back Nick Sirianni after what we heard Jalen Hurts say, after we heard some of the defensive players and Cox come out and say that there might need to be another voice in this locker room that can help us move forward as a team. It tells me one thing is that he lost the locker room. So they don't want to fire him because obviously he went all the way to the Super Bowl last year with this team, but with a new coaching staff, as 2 coaches fled and one went to the Arizona Cardinals and the other one went to the Indianapolis Colts. You see the difference in Nick Sirianni's coaching skills. The Knicks are very likely to include Quentin Grimes in a trade at the trade deadline. Wow, the Knicks are finally going to trade Quentin Grimes after they could have landed a guy named Donovan Mitchell. So makes no sense on why the Knicks decided to do this now. Maybe they think he doesn't fit into the future now after introducing and trading for OG Anunoby. So maybe that's the reason why. I don't know, but we'll definitely look forward to the trade deadline. The Nets and the Lakers interested in Murray, and so is the 76ers and the Heat. So I do believe we are going to see Murray head somewhere, and Atlanta's looking to rebuild now. I'm surprised that Trae Young's name is not being brought up in conversation because Atlanta, even though they're a borderline, play-in team, I think they know that they know the writing on the board that this team needs to rebuild, and they don't have much of a future. So that's interesting as well. Let's parlay. It looks like it's going to be Wes tonight, and maybe Reno Johnny. We're hoping that Reno Johnny could join us.
Chad's actually said he might pop in too, but he's not going to have a lot of bets, he says. So he might just come in for comedic relief.
Is he hanging out with himself? Or?
He said he has a bet for the first game, but that was it.
Is he eating some oatmeal?
Maybe. You can ask him.
I know he was sick, and that's all he probably can eat over the last week. I think it's oatmeal or soup. And the division round picks, and we will get into that as well. We'll make our picks. I'm sure you guys will have your own thoughts to the whole pick situation, but let's get into it. The Cowboys' latest. Adam Schefter reports that the Cowboys will retain Mike McCarthy for the final year of his contract. Jerry Jones, did you guys hear that? Jerry Jones said that he didn't feel that the Cowboys needed a drastic change and supports Mike McCarthy leadership and progress he's made with the team. McCarthy said, "We have established a championship program. I know how to win, and I will get over this threshold." Ooh. Giving some enthusiasm at his press conferences, does he? ESPN's Ed Werder reports that the Cowboys will bring back Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator if he's not hired by another team as a head coach. which it seems like it will be Seattle, if anything. The Panthers and the Titans interviewed Quinn yesterday, and Quinn is scheduled to meet with the Commanders, Seahawks, and Chargers as well. In 4 seasons coaching for the Cowboys, McCarthy has a 42-25 record this season. For the season record, but is just 1-3 in the playoffs. First of all, the playoff record stands out. And I know everybody's looking at that. Oh, he's 1-3. That means he's a bad coach. He also coached Brett Favre, and he also coached Aaron Rodgers. And when he won the Super Bowl in 2010 with Aaron Rodgers, he won it practically as the final wild card team, which I think that was the first wild card team that actually won a Super Bowl. But not only that, Mike McCarthy doesn't get any credit on how this offense played this year. This isn't Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore went to the Chargers this past year. Justin Herbert couldn't stay healthy, and when he was playing, the offense was not good. And we understand that Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy did not get along on the sidelines because Mike McCarthy likes to run the offense faster. Kellen Moore likes to, ease up on the offense, run the ball, and throw the ball in certain positions, in certain ways to run the offense. And that, to me, was very different this year with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy was getting the guys up at the line very quickly, and it was all fast throws. And Dak Prescott last year, why he made a lot of mistakes is he held on to the ball too long. This year, it was in and out of his hands. Actually, it went, I think he got the ball out of his hands almost 1.3 or 1.4 seconds faster than he did last year. And that helped Dak Prescott. That also helped the Cowboys in running some of their slant plays and using Pollard in the open field, which they did well the year before, and it didn't fully work out as well as they thought it was going to this year. CeeDee Lamb had just an unbelievable season. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league. You can argue he's a top 3, top 2 wide receiver in all of football. He broke every Cowboy record this year, having over 1,600 yards, over, I think, 120 catches or something of that magnitude. And he had another, 13 touchdowns, 14 touchdowns. He had a sensational year. The problem with the Cowboys is going into the offseason. I don't know where Dan Quinn's going to go. And more than likely, he's going to go to Seattle. That's the prediction. Unless one of these teams, the Panthers or the Titans, really want Dan Quinn and they want to jump on it as quick as possible before he sits in on the Commanders and the Seahawks and the Chargers. There's no way he's getting the Charger job. There's a chance he might get the Commander job because they'll hire anybody. And Harris is a new owner, so maybe he goes elsewhere. He wants to bring in a big name. But it seems like it's Seattle, or I could predict the Panthers. Those are the 2 teams that really stand out the most for Dan Quinn. So I do not believe that he's coming back next year. I do not believe it. But I will say this for Jerry Jones. You're going into an offseason where there's a lot of questions. One of the big questions right now for Jerry Jones is, when is he going to step back and let his son take over as the GM/owner of this organization? Jerry Jones is in his mid-80s. He's at the tail end of his life. And he needs to let a younger generation push the right buttons, because the buttons have not been pushed right for over 30 some odd years. They haven't won a championship since the 90s. They've had plenty of good teams. Probably one of the better offensive lines in the early 2000 era. Dak Prescott, as much as everybody thinks he stinks, is not a bad quarterback. Now, is he good in the playoffs? He hasn't been. He hasn't shown up in the big time spots you expect a starting quarterback to do and to be a part of a huge organization that has been successful over the years with the Dallas Cowboys. He's not Bart Starr. As we all know, the Green Bay Packers and the success they had in the early 60s and 50s. And again, you look at Dak Prescott and its comparison to some of the old-timing quarterbacks, and there is none. There is no comparison because Dak Prescott is a new age quarterback, a quarterback that obviously needs to find himself and what type of quarterback he is going to be moving forward as a veteran quarterback. And Mike McCarthy, I think, has discovered how to use Dak Prescott in his offense. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He is not Brett Favre. He's better outside of the pocket than people think that he is. He's not as accurate as Aaron Rodgers, but he doesn't make as many mistakes as Brett Favre. They have a quarterback you can win with. I don't care what any Cowboy fan says. They can win with Dak Prescott. And I bring up Bart Starr because Bart Starr, in the beginning of his career, and I don't know if anybody knows this, Bart Starr was not looked at as an elite quarterback or was going to be a star quarterback in the NFL. It took him a little while to figure things out. And when he did, he became a star. Dak Prescott, he was a 4th-round draft pick. And I'm not saying Dak Prescott is Bart Starr. I never said that. And I know everybody's going to say, well, why are you bringing up Bart Starr? Because when Bart Starr came into the league, nobody thought that Bart Starr was going to be the elite quarterback he became. And it took him a while. And he figured it out. And I think that this is the same thing with Dak. I think coaching is going to help him develop. Lombardi helped Bart Starr develop into the quarterback he became. And I think understanding the game, and remember, Bart Starr played for Alabama, and we've seen a lot of Alabama quarterbacks in the years never were successful. I mean, if you really look at it, Bart Starr, Joe Namath, and now maybe Tua are the best quarterbacks that ever played out of Alabama. There are not many quarterbacks that really stand out. And I bring up the Green Bay Packer way because where did Mike McCarthy come from? The Packers. That's where he started practically his coaching career. He's over there and he's trying to rebuild the confidence of a quarterback that people have given up on. And the Cowboys, everybody, you're going into the offseason. Dak Prescott is going to make $60-some-odd million next year. They don't have a lot of money in the offseason when it comes to free agency. So they're going into the season next year with practically the same team. So Jerry Jones has to be smart this offseason. And that's why I think his son needs to be more involved in the decision-making of this team and this organization. So you look at it now. And this is the story. And I understand why Jerry Jones kept Mike McCarthy. How could you fire a guy that's given you almost 12 wins for back-to-back-to-back seasons? You can't fire a guy that's successful. Now, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He's only won one game. He hasn't even been in an NFC title game. And I know that's what everybody says, but just to find a coach that's going to give you consecutive winning seasons, it's not common. It isn't. And that says a lot about Bill Belichick, even though it's back-to-back years with losing seasons. Bill Belichick is a proven winner. Mike Tomlin is a proven winner. Is Robert Saleh a proven winner? He's won 7 games in back-to-back years. He's not a proven winner.
The only thing he wins at is keeping receipts.
Is Brian Dable a proven winner? After coming into a season where the schedule wasn't as easy as the year before. And then there's stories coming out that he's not getting along with his coaching staff and some of his players. After winning Coach of the Year. Coaching is not easy in the NFL. And I know a lot of Cowboy fans did not like the fact that Mike McCarthy's coming back. Oh, we have a chance to get, Bill Belichick, or we have a chance to get Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh was never going to the Cowboys. And I didn't believe at any point when those stories were coming out after the Lions game, I think, was it Sunday night when that was coming out, that Bill Belichick had any chance of going to the Cowboys. Bill Belichick is not going to ride Bill Parcells' jockstrap. He didn't want to do that with the Jets. He really didn't want to do that when he was the defensive coordinator, cornerback coach with the Giants in the 80s and the 90s. He wanted to be his own self, and he still went to a team that Bill Parcells at one point coached and took the team all the way to a Super Bowl in the New England Patriots. And he proved that he didn't need to be on Bill Parcells' jockstrap to be successful. And he became one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, if not the greatest.
And again, you also look at Jerry Jones, like the stability that he wants to bring to a team where he's contradicted himself over the years in that. And that comes from holding on to Jason Garrett for as long as he did. And I thought he was like 5 years overdue from getting rid of him, because Dallas with Jason Garrett lost 3 straight win-or-go-home games to win the NFC East. If that doesn't spell collapse in the playoffs, I don't know what does. And you want to blame Tony Romo for that. You want to blame Jason Garrett, whoever it is. Yeah, the Cowboys have had similar woes, but they're mostly in the playoffs. They're consistently in the playoffs. Besides the first year where they went 6-10, Mike McCarthy's been in the playoffs 12-win seasons every year. Now, he has had clock management issues, which I think has hurt him as a head coach in the playoffs. He has had issues with not using certain players properly, like he did with Ezekiel Elliott. That's why Ezekiel Elliott had to leave, and he ended up going to the Patriots. And this year, really, CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson were the only consistent guys all year. So, yeah, there are definitely criticisms. But when you have somebody like Dak Prescott, who's going to get a big contract this offseason, if he doesn't take the extension this year, he'll get it the following year, and he still makes 60-something million. So it's going to be something that you have to get the quarterback position right. And Dak Prescott, he was a good quarterback before that, but he has never been this great like he has been in the last 2 years. Even the 2022 year where he led the league in interceptions, he still had some very good advanced metrics on his side. So a lot of that comes with McCarthy's development. Now, the defensive coordinator I would be concerned with, because I think Dan Quinn's going to Seattle too. And they're going to lose a lot of players in that front seven as well. There's a lot of free agents on that Cowboys defense. So maybe that's another reason they're trying to say, all right, we could just trust to be an offensive team. And that's why they trust an offensive scheme that works for them.
And again, I still think that Dak Prescott could win with the Cowboys, but maybe going into the offseason, the Cowboys decide, hey, you know what? We can get something for Dak Prescott. Maybe we can move him. Maybe there's another team that will give us a first-round draft pick, or maybe a second-round draft pick and a player. And maybe maybe the Cowboys decide, hey, we'll sign Carson Wentz for a year and see if we can win with Carson Wentz. Maybe we have a better chance of winning with a quarterback more likely to be that pocket present quarterback that, maybe Mike McCarthy could work with better. I don't know, but I thought Dak Prescott had a sensational year. I thought he was a top 5 quarterback in the league. Did he look good the last 2 weeks of the season? Probably not. Did he look good in the playoffs? No, but he didn't look as bad as everybody thought he was. And the fact that they're deciding to keep Mike McCarthy only tells you one thing, that Mike McCarthy believes he can win with Dak Prescott. He also believes that he can win with this team. Again, going back to the wide receivers that they did not have this year, they need to figure out who they are as far as just being CeeDee Lamb's team. They need to find another guy. They need to find a number 2. Maybe they draft him in the first round. Maybe they move up in the first round and get the guy that they particularly are looking to draft. Maybe a Coleman at number 13, if they're willing to give up a future first-round draft pick. If they feel that there are 1 player or 2 players away to land a big-time playmaker. I don't know, but I do not believe Jerry Jones should be running this team next year. I do not believe Jerry Jones should be drafting players anymore. He needs to give the reins to the younger guy, the guy that actually told Jerry not to draft Johnny Manziel. He told Jerry not to do certain things. He told Jerry to draft Smith a couple of years ago when healthy, played very well. He also said to Jerry at number 17 to draft CeeDee Lamb. And look how good CeeDee Lamb is. Jerry Jones needs to step down. He needs to let the young bucks, he needs to let his son start running this team. And maybe even if his son takes over the team, brings in a real GM, which the Cowboys have not had in over 30 some odd years.
And you wonder if that kind of thing has shied other coaches away too, because a lot of our guests have come on and said, the Cowboys are used as leverage for other teams to give these coaches big contracts too, which everyone was thinking that Sean Payton was going to go to the Cowboys. He used that as leverage to get a huge contract from the Broncos. And obviously it hasn't worked greatly. It hasn't worked badly yet, but we'll see. But even so, we've seen these coaches go there first, and maybe these other coaches were thinking that was going to happen too. And maybe that's why Jerry Jones said, all right, no, we're just going to keep McCarthy anyway, because Bill Belichick, he was going to be linked to the Cowboys immediately after the playoff game. It was like, oh, Bill Belichick to Dallas confirmed after they got smoked in the playoffs by the Cowboys.
Sometimes when you bring in a coach, and again, Mike McCarthy needed to take over the reins offensively for Dak Prescott to really become the quarterback that he became this year. And again, going back to Bart Starr, when Lombardi took over that team, Bart Starr was drafted in 1956. He didn't become the starting quarterback until 1959. And it was back and forth who was the starting quarterback that year, because even though Bart Starr was a high draft pick, there were a lot of questions about his ability. Is he going to achieve the quarterback and take over the quarterback position when Lombardi took over the team? And it took a little while, and he had to figure things out. And Lombardi helped him figure out what type of quarterback he became. And obviously, how many quarterbacks could say they've won 3 back-to-back-to-back championships in a row? And Bart Starr is one of only that's done that. So, and it's not the Super Bowl, but he's the only quarterback in NFL history that won 3 championships in a row.
Mm-hmm. The first year before the Super Bowl era, and then the first 2 Super Bowls. And yeah, it hasn't been done since. As much as Joe Montana and Tom Brady have won, they've never done that back-to-back either.
He's the only quarterback to ever do that. And maybe that's what the Cowboys needed. They needed Mike McCarthy to take over the calls. And I think it's going to help Dak Prescott. This was the first year under Mike McCarthy's tutelage offense. He was running Mike McCarthy's offense that he was running with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. So maybe another year under this offense with another weapon on one side, maybe another running back, because they're going to need that. Maybe this offense is different, and this defense needs to wake up. They need to find corners. Yeah. Their corner play, and I don't want to hear about Diggs because he got hurt. The corner play is not the reason why the Cowboys didn't win anything this year. It wasn't. It was one of the reasons, but it wasn't the only reason. But they need help over there. And I'm telling you, you can't bring Gilmore and expect bringing Gilmore back and Diggs, because Diggs can't stay healthy. The guy has had, one healthy season in his whole career.
And now you're paying almost $20 million a year.
I know, because of the one season where he had, 11 interceptions? Ooh, big whoop. And all he's done this year is open his big mouth about his big brother and protecting his big brother over Josh Allen, who doesn't say anything.
And taking shots at his own quarterback, too.
That's another thing.
Saying, he's not going to make the fans boo anymore, or whatever he said at the trading camp. And they're starting a fight, too, no less.
It's ridiculous. It really is. And he shouldn't be opening his mouth because he's not part of the team right now. And he needs to go into the offseason and put up or shut up, because that's the problem with a lot of these players, including the Cowboys. I like Micah Parsons. I've listened to his podcast. I think it's fantastic. I think he sticks up for a lot of players. He stuck up for Zach Wilson when Zach Wilson looked like crap. But what was he sticking up for? Zach Wilson was a piece of garbage. And I'm not saying he's a piece of garbage as a person. His game was garbage. He can't play in the NFL. But Micah Parsons says, how could you say that when he hasn't been given a chance? 3 years is enough for me to say he's been given a chance. And he stinks. And Micah Parsons has been throwing other people under the bus throughout the season on his show. And Micah, I think, needs to worry about his own game, because in the last 5 weeks, what did he do? Defensively, this guy was, in the beginning of the season, the first 6 or 7 games, he was running all over people. And the same thing happened last year. In the first 8 or 9 games, Micah Parsons was a beast. And then really the last 6 games, he played well, but he didn't play at the way he was playing in the beginning of the season. And I could say that about the Cowboys defense last year to this year. Same thing happened. They were good in the first half and in the second half. So that's a huge problem. So do we have somebody on the phone?
No. I was going to say, Jeff was reading the comment section. Dak will win 3 in a row. Yeah, well, you're going to have to hope that Jerry Jones is not the owner of the team before that. Dak was great in the playoffs. Look at the numbers.
NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports that the Falcons are scheduled to meet with Bill Belichick for a second time this weekend. Belichick already met one-on-one with the owner, Arthur Blank, and now will meet with the members of the front office. CBS Sports' Josina Anderson reports that since he is now meeting with them twice, it is almost inevitable that he will be accepting the Falcons head coaching job. Belichick said he is targeting talented but underachieving teams when looking for the next coaching job of his choosing. The Falcons recently interviewed Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson and Jim Harbaugh as well. The Falcons will have $35 million in cap space and the number 8 overall pick. Bill Belichick is taking that job. I thought it was going to be the Chargers, but it looks like the Chargers are mainly going after Jim Harbaugh. That's who they're gunning for. And more than likely, Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan. I know there are stories coming out that Michigan is interested in renegotiating a deal, giving him arguably one of the biggest college contracts in NCAA history, but really as a coach in all of sports, because Jim Harbaugh could be getting, if he gets offered a Michigan contract, probably around $13 to $15 million. Now, I don't know what Saban was getting over there in Alabama.
It was 12.
I think Jim Harbaugh, if he gets between 13 and 15, he'd be the highest paid coach in NCAA history and NFL history, because I don't think there is a coach making that money right now. But it's interesting when you look at Bill Belichick and taking over for the Falcons. Now, the Falcons are built very, very well. I do believe that they're maybe a quarterback and a couple of pieces away from being a contender in a conference that's just crap. It really is. What do you have? San Francisco, the Eagles, you're bringing back Nick Sirianni. Are you really worried about them? Mike McCarthy hasn't won anything in the playoffs. Maybe they win 12 games next year. Maybe they don't. They'll make the playoffs. The rest of the conference, the Commanders stink. The Giants look like they're falling apart. Minnesota, we don't know what they are. Or are they bringing back Kirk Cousins? I mean, you could go up. Green Bay looks like they have a quarterback, but is Green Bay going to be good next year? Who knows? They could be up and down next year. Chicago, they don't know who their quarterback is. Is it Caleb Williams? Is it Justin Fields? I could go on and on. Seattle decided to part ways with Pete Carroll. For what reason? I don't understand it, because he's getting too old. He wants to coach still. The guy's been successful. He was having a successful year until his quarterback, Geno Smith, I don't know, looked like he was peg-legged throughout the second half of the season. Nobody was catching the ball in Seattle at the end of the season. Again, the conference is wide open. So, of course, Bill Belichick would think, hey, you know what? I don't want to stay in the AFC. I don't want to go in the Chiefs division where I have to play the Chiefs back-to-back times in a season. Why would he want to do that? If I was Bill Belichick, I'd say, hey, I could go coach the Falcons. I'm in an easy division. Who do I have to worry about in that division? Who? Tampa? Tampa is good. Is Todd Bowles going to do it back-to-back years? Come on, guys. The Panthers? Is he really worried about the Panthers? I mean, and then the Saints, after seeing what we saw at the end of the season, what the coach did, and putting up points in Atlanta, couldn't stand it, by the way. And Bill Belichick is known he's known to do that in Atlanta, in New England against the Jets. So why not do it in Atlanta when he plays the Saints? And he has to play the Saints twice this year.
Revenge on Dennis Allen.
Honestly, it makes a lot of sense why Bill Belichick would take the job with the Falcons. They have a great tight end, which, by the way, they didn't use right, in Kyle Pitts. Drake London, who I think is a great wide receiver, just needs to stay healthy. I said it yesterday, Bijan Robinson. This defense, the secondary, which was very weak the year before, played very well throughout the season. They made a move for Jesse Bates. It changed everything for that defense. They drafted a D-back. They might draft another D-back in this year's draft. And by the way, Bill Belichick is known to build secondaries everywhere he's gone. It makes a lot of sense. And by the way, there's no weaknesses besides the quarterback position on this team. That is the weakness right now. In Atlanta, where are they drafting? 8? They still could get Penix. They still maybe could trade up at 8. Maybe they trade with the
Chargers. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Or maybe Chicago.
If anyone's thinking the Giants are going to take a quarterback, they still might be scared of that. The Chargers and Falcons are perfect trade partners.
How about the Chicago Bears at 1 if they want to keep Justin Fields?
Sure.
8-1, you'd have to give up a first-round draft pick for him. Next year's first-round draft pick. But guess what? Bill Belichick can get his pick of the litter wherever he wants to go.
Right. Is
it Drake May? He's the prototypical quarterback that everybody says coming out of draft. Caleb Williams could be the most talented quarterback in this class. You could go any way in this draft if you're drafting at 1. So Bill Belichick knows that this team, them and the Chargers, are very interesting. And again, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus because Arthur Smith just fell apart in the second half of the season for the Atlanta Falcons. And and I know, Speedy, you liked him last year.
I liked him in the first year. The second year, he was good, but not great. And then this year, just,
he was putrid.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, I look at Bill Belichick, if he takes this job, he's bringing in somebody named Josh McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
He's bringing him. He's definitely bringing him as the offensive coordinator. And I wouldn't be surprised if he brings in another defensive coordinator that did take over on the defensive side of the ball for the Eagles this year, after firing their defensive coordinator, if you know what I'm talking about, Mr. Science Rocket Machine over there. I mean, honestly, they're going to build a winning culture over there in Atlanta. And I think that's where Bill Belichick makes a lot of sense on why he'll probably decide to go there than the Chargers, because he has a chance very fast to win, because the only team he necessarily has to worry about year in and year out is San Francisco. And by the way, he doesn't have to play them probably for 2 years. So he has a chance to really move through his division and the conference, and only has to see San Francisco one time, and that's in the playoffs.
Right. And I think the division, is the biggest thing, because you look at the NFC South, the way it's regressed and not been consistent. Tampa and the Saints had good runs at certain points, but Tampa's still a playoff team, obviously, but they're not the powerhouse they were with Tom Brady. And the Saints are a talented team that's very poorly coached. And obviously the Panthers are just a dysfunctional train wreck right now. So he knows that with Bill Belichick's influence there, Arthur Blank knows that the Falcons, this is their best chance to turn around, because again, these other seasons that they've had, they've not, without having much of a quarterback play, they've had decent talent. They're still 7-10. They're not like 2-15 or 3-14 the way that these other teams have been. So he knows that coaching really matters to an extent. And Bill Belichick is going to have control of this defense, which got better this year. You don't usually see free agent defenses get over one season and make it work. But you're right. The offense is the big thing they're going to have to fix, regardless of who the coach is. Quarterback, and maybe more receiving depth after Drake London, because they don't really have much after that. Cordero Patterson was okay, but again, Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson, those are the two big guys that they're going to have to really
You have three
around.
guys that could change an offense. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and you said Bijan Robinson. They have other weapons. They're pretty good offensively. Yeah. Their offensive line is actually not bad.
It's decent, yeah.
It's not a bad offensive line. And Bill Belichick, in the way he runs his offense, he doesn't need a top-end offensive line, because he likes to get the ball out as quick as possible. So if he gets the right quarterback, and the quarterback that makes sense for him, and that's why I think really moving up in this year's draft and getting the guy that he wants, or bringing in a veteran guy like Jimmy G, playing and drafting the quarterback at 8, bringing in Jimmy G that can run his offense, who knows his offense, and also he did work with Josh McDaniels last year, but that doesn't say much. But Bill Belichick is there. I think that could help the growth of the young quarterback that they bring in.
Yeah, and you also look at the scheme, like adaptability too. It could help for Josh McDaniels not having to run the whole team. And you look at Bill Belichick with Josh McDaniels together, like their team offenses, even without the greatest receivers or the greatest running backs, they like to rotate a lot of running backs too. They made that kind of thing work. And now they have top end stars to go with that kind of thing too. They always had it at tight end, but like receivers, Wes Welker, they found off the Dolphins special teams. Julian Edelman was undrafted. Like these running backs too, besides Corey Dillon, like nobody else is going to be quote unquote considered a stud. They have that kind of thing considered a stud with Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts if they can reach their athletic potential.
Oh, no question. And again, I think that somebody like Bill Belichick and where he's planning to go, I think he's made up his decision. That's why he's going for a second interview, because I think they're now just negotiating a contract and how they're going to want to move forward. And then I think you're going to hear probably at the end of the weekend that he is going to be going to the Atlanta Falcons. So it's not a coincidence that he's going for a second interview. When you hear a second interview, it usually means they're closing in on him. So, and that's the same thing with Robert Saleh with the Jets. As soon as you heard his second interview, you knew he was going to sign with the Jets. And I think the same thing over here. So it looks like the Falcons are going to land probably the best coach available this offseason, and one of the greatest coaches that we've ever seen coach in any professional sports, and as successful as Bill Belichick has been in a 20-year span. It's pretty amazing. And hopefully they bring in the right guys, the right quarterbacks to move forward with this team, because I think they have a tremendous amount of weapons and a tremendous amount of depth offensively on this roster. So there you go. All right, Quentin Grimes, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I love this story. Hoops Hypes. Michael Scotto reports that the Knicks are actively shopping Quentin Grimes in order to trade for a star player. He also added they are willing to move multiple first-round picks and trade the contract of Evan Fournier in a potential trade. Grimes commented about a month ago that he was frustrated in his role with the Knicks even before the OG Anunoby trade. Reports say that the Knicks have interest in Bruce Brown, who just got traded to the Raptors in a deal sending Pascal Siakam to the Pacers. Hawks point guard Murray and Pistons small forward Bijan Bogdanovic are also players that the Knicks have been linked to. The Knicks are reportedly also targeting a defensive-oriented guard and backup power forward. The Knicks have 6 first-round picks in the next 2 seasons. First of all, you have 6 first-round draft picks in the next 2 seasons. Why are you trading them away? You finally have picks, and you're going to trade them away. And what they're trading them for, by the way, and I like Murray. If you could get Murray, I love that move. Bogdanovic, he's not a star. You're going to give up Quentin Grimes for Bogdanovic? This is the same Quentin Grimes you wouldn't trade him for Donovan Mitchell. That doesn't make sense. Why would you go after a Bogdanovic if you had a chance to get a Donovan Mitchell? It doesn't make sense. And again, I love what Leon Rose has done. I really do. I love the OG Anunoby move. I was surprised that they made a move like that. It looks like it's working out for Toronto just as much as it's working out for the New York Knicks. Bruce Brown, is he a star? He's a good player. I remember him on the Nets. He was having a decent season with the Toronto Raptors. But I mean, I'm sorry, not the Toronto Raptors, the Pacers. I wonder where they're going with this. If you're going to give up a significant amount of draft stock, which the Knicks have, they have a lot of draft stock. They have 6 first-round draft picks in the next 2 seasons. I don't know if they're protected or unprotected, but they have a ton. How does this work? How does this work for the New York Knicks? Because these names that we're seeing right now, Bruce Brown, Murray, and Bogdanovic, are not the names that I want to hear. I want to hear Karl Anthony Towns. I wanted to hear Pascal Siakam, who's now a Pacer. That makes sense on giving up a significant amount of draft stock the way we're hearing the Knicks are going to have to do or trade to get an impact player. These guys are not impact players. They're not. They're looking for an impact player to help a Jalen Brunson. Now, they're going to say, well, we have one in Julius Randle. He's opting out of his contract at the end of the season. So you're going to make a trade for Bruce Brown, and then you're going to extend him? And then going into the offseason, what are you going to have to get a max player? You're not going to have enough money to get a max player. So you're going to give away draft picks to bring in a player that's just a fill-in player this year, re-sign him in the offseason because you're giving up a significant amount of draft stock for him. And then you're only going to have a significant amount of money where you can make a move for a little bit lower of a max player, where you're not going to get the superstar player that you thought you were going to go or get in the offseason. Great move for the New York Knicks. I think it's an absolute dumb move by the New York Knicks. If you're not going to get a superstar to fill in at the part, at the position that they're looking to fill in, then don't trade the picks.
Mm-hmm. There's no impact player on that list besides probably Murray, but Murray doesn't really fit with the Knicks because the Knicks have Jalen Brunson already. So you're going to lose a lot with trading for that. Those other guys are role players. Bruce Brown's a good 6th man, but not really much else besides that. And somebody like Bogdanovic, good shooter, not much else besides that. So I don't know why they're trying to use their last big asset on their roster outside of Julius Randle. They try to trade Julius Randle in order to get that. And I think that's where I think this flaw is in their plan. Now, unless they traded only 1 first-round pick and maybe another player on the team, one of their other young players, fine. But these players are not worth Quentin Grimes, who has the highest upside. We were talking about it with Donovan Mitchell. teams would not trade for Quentin Grimes. The Knicks weren't going to do it for anything more than Donovan Mitchell. So why would they do it for a player that's worse?
All Cleveland wanted was Quentin Grimes. It was either RJ Barrett or Quentin Grimes and maybe a big man. I've heard Hartenstein. I also heard maybe Mitchell Robinson and 3 first-round draft picks to get a Donovan Mitchell, who, by the way, is averaging 30 points a game right now.
Yep.
He's one of the best guards in the league right now. And the Knicks, all they had to do was get rid of Quentin Grimes. Now, all of a sudden, he doesn't fit with this roster now that OG Anunoby is there. And now you're just going to give up on him? You're going to say, oh, you know what? We just lost a chance to get one of the best offensive players in the league who wants to be here. And we're now deciding to trade away the piece that everybody wanted last offseason and now doesn't want this right now in the middle of the season, where they thought he was going to fit this roster like a glove.
And again, you also look at them needing size too. Like a lot of these things don't make sense when you're trying to trade for these other guards. Like, yeah, I understand they could use some more 3-point shooting. It's understandable, but they really need size with Mitchell Robinson not likely to be out for the rest of the season. He might come back for the playoffs, fine. Isaiah Hartenstein's held his own, and right now Achua coming in from the Raptors trade is doing fine. But like, I don't think that's really the big area they have to address anyway. Any of these players being rumored are not the ones to go for right now if you're going to trade somebody like Grimes.
And also, there's other teams looking for these players. I mean, obviously, the Lakers are looking for a guard. We've heard Murray's name being brought up. We've heard Bogdanovich's name being brought up. These are the guys that are going to be available. Of course, the Knicks are going to be linked to them. I want to see the Knicks go after somebody outside of the box. Evan Fournier, nobody wants Evan Fournier. The Knicks are trying to move it. They've been trying to move him for the last 2 years. Nobody wants that contract. That was one of the worst contracts Leon Rose gave to a player.
What about Kuzma? Would you be interested in that kind of thing?
I would take Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah,
He could play defense. He's a rebounder. He could score. He's going to give you he could give you 20 points. He could be your 6th man. He could come off the bench and give you automatic offense. He's something that the Knicks need. They need that automatic offense off the bench or even as a starter. And right now, their rotation is good at the lineup. You're seeing all these players start to develop. Anunoby could be a 20, 25-point guy in the future. He reminds me of a Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy Butler, when he was drafted and he went to the Chicago Bulls, Tom Thibodeau was there. He developed him from a defensive player to an offensive player. Now he's a two-way player, one of the best two-way players in the league. I'm not saying Anunoby is Jimmy Butler, but he reminds me of a younger version of Jimmy Butler. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work. And this team defensively, with Anunoby, and if they could get Mitchell Robinson back before the season's over, which I'm hearing that he could be back for the playoffs, that says a lot about where this team could go throughout the playoffs. Because if you get Mitchell Robinson back, you have your paint guy. You have a guy that can defend the paint and maybe not go after a big man. Because maybe now that you're hearing Mitchell Robinson coming back, why would you go after a big man? You could wait into the offseason. Maybe Minnesota just chokes at the end of the season or chokes in the playoffs and they say, you know what, we're not going any further with Cat. Let's trade him in the offseason. And then the Knicks have the money to spend and they have the draft stock to get him.
And they still have a high upside Quentin Grimes to trade. So why would they just waste it in this kind of deal for a guy that's just really a role player? Bruce Brown is a good 6-man. Bogdanovich is a shooter. That's not much else besides that for upside perspective for somebody like Grimes that has a lot of upside. And speaking of the Knicks, their game has just started, and we have somebody that's going to give us a little bit of the scoop on that.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute.
Are you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
Everybody, welcome to another Sports Minute
with Tommy Scoops here. For the latest scoop, college football news. Miami tight end Cam McCormick has been granted his 9th year of eligibility for the upcoming college football season, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know that was possible. It does look like this guy was plagued with a lot of injuries in his career, so he's coming back for his 9th season in the college football season. And in NFL news, as Errol Marks over here mentioned earlier, Bill Belichick actually just got his second interview with the Falcons. And with the second interview, most likely means that things will be getting wrapped up there. We shall see within the coming weeks, as Mike Vrabel, former Titans head coach, also went to the Chargers to go meet up with the coaching position over there. Cliff Kingsbury also interviewed with the Chicago Bears offensive coordinator position as he looks to regain a job within the NFL. Mike Tomlin also was expected to be kept this next season and is expected to get an off-season contract extension, as reported by Art Rooney, II. In NBA news, the Warriors actually postponed their second game in a row in wake of Dejan Milojevic, who is the assistant coach that just passed away yesterday after a heart attack. The Warriors were actually scheduled to verse the Mavs, but that will be postponed till a later date. And now time for Scoops to Scores, where right now, at about 10 o'clock, we have the New York Rangers about to seek their 3rd victory in a row against the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Las Vegas Golden Knights. In NBA scores, my New York Knicks just actually tipped off against the Washington Wizards, looking to get their 3rd win in a row, currently up 14-8, with Julius Randle leading the lead with 10 points. The Bulls and Raptors also just tipped off, with 3 games expected to tip off in the next hour. And with that being said, I will send it back over to the boys for the next segment.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You are listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy PD. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy PD every single, well, I was going to about to say Saturday, but we are on Saturday, by the way, the Weekend Crunch, but every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listing of all our shows is you go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Tommy Scoops, this is one of his first sports reports, so he'll get better. Very happy to have him on, and practice makes perfect, as we always say. Speedy, how are you doing today? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling relaxed? Is everything good with you?
I don't know about relaxed.
You look like you're tensed. You really do.
I don't know about relaxed. I'm getting tailspin into eating animals and fighting with animals at the beginning of the show.
Well, are you eating animals? Do you like beef?
I do like beef.
What kind of beef are you going to have tonight when we go to Applebee's?
I don't know.
Do you like beef?
I do like beef.
But what kind of beef do you
I don't know if I'm going to get beef.
If you want beef, I can give you beef.
I'm going to get beef where I want to get beef, if I care about getting beef.
But do you want beef?
I don't need it from another
person. Do you like
person.
it thick or do you like it long?
Depends on the mood.
So you'd rather long?
Depends on the mood.
All right, so depending on the mood, ladies and gentlemen, Speedy likes his beef. Oh, man. You like that, Speedy?
Sure.
It was really good right there.
It was very elaborate.
It was very elaborate. In just a few, I would say in an hour, we will be talking to MLB outfielder and current Dodgers professional scout Greg Golson. He'll be joining us. And at 9:30, we'll be talking to former Vikings and Jets linebacker Erin Henderson as well. So we're looking to get Erin on the show as well. So let's get into this wonderful story about Nick Sirianni, because it's definitely a story that stands out for all you Eagle fans. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports that a team source told him their locker room really lost the identity of the team. He also added that he expects Nick Sirianni to stay as a head coach, but changes will be coming for the coaching staff. Offensive coordinator Brian Johnson has interviewed for 2 head coaching positions so far with the Falcons and the Panthers. CBS Sports' Jeff Kerr reports that the Eagles players have stuck up for Sirianni, including Fletcher Cox, Jalen Hurts, and now retired Jason Kelce. When he was ruled out for the playoff game, A.J. Brown deleted all Eagles-related information off his social media. After starting 10-1, the Eagles only won 1 game in the rest of the season and finished with a point differential of only +5. First of all, after the game, Jalen Hurts did not seem very, very happy. Okay. And I understand now he's sticking up for Nick Sirianni because he knows Nick Sirianni's job is up for grabs. And Fletcher Cox, he didn't sound very happy at the end of the game either when he was interviewed. So now he's changing his thoughts. A.J. Brown is definitely not happy with Nick Sirianni. And I believe, and I'll say this again, Lamar Jackson could have played in the playoffs last year against the Bengals. He was hurt supposedly, but he wasn't going to play in the playoff game because he did not get his contract, and he wasn't going to put his body on the line for any team. A.J. Brown right now is coming off an injury. I think it was a concussion, if I'm not mistaken. And A.J. Brown was not going to put his body on the line in the first wild card game for the Eagles in a very long time because the Eagles have won their division for the last few seasons. The first wild card game A.J. Brown has played as an Eagle, he said, you know what? I don't want to play in this game. He could have passed. I don't believe A.J. Brown was hurt enough where he could not show up and play in that game. And not having A.J. Brown in that offense absolutely affected them big time. Absolutely. And when you depend on one wide receiver in Smith, who had a sensational game, he was unbelievable. He was all over the place, but no offense. They couldn't run the ball. And let's be honest, the Buccaneers knew what they were going to do. They were going to use a lot of Swift and a lot of that Gainwell, and they were going to use try to use the running game to open it up for Smith. It didn't work out. They shut down the running game, and they knew that Jalen Hurts had to air the ball out. Jalen Hurts' game is not about throwing the ball. It's about using his legs. When they shut down the running game for Jalen Hurts and that those running backs, then they knew they were one-dimensional. All they had to do was double-team Smith, and Smith still had a good game. But there was nobody else. Goddard was horrible, and he's been horrible all season long. Yeah. Goddard was a high draft pick, and we thought, but in the last couple of years, his development was definitely going to take a big step, but it hasn't. It's taken steps back. And losing A.J. Brown, they had nobody to fill in that spot that was going to help offensively. And that secondary, especially in the second half of the season, was absolutely disgusting. And Darius Slay getting hurt, that could be career ending. I don't know if it's career ending, but you will not see Darius Slay on the Philadelphia Eagles next year.
And again, you also look at the coordinators too. Like that makes a difference when it comes to Brian Johnson getting a head coaching job. That already helps the Eagles' case of let's get the offense better. And we talked about it yesterday with Dable. Like Nick Sirianni was a lot of the same tension with Brian Dable in terms of switching off play calling it, oh, Brian Johnson's going to call plays. Now I'm going to call plays. And that kind of thing affected them. And once Nick Sirianni wasn't just the team culture guy, the guy that the players liked, then all of a sudden you look at these guys turning on him. And A.J. Brown, who was never a diva wide receiver in the past, too. He was always a very humble star. Like, this is the first year where we've really seen A.J. Brown have these kind of issues. Yeah, he had a sour ending with the Titans a little bit, but the Titans really didn't give him any help. Like, they got rid of Corey Davis. They had Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Derrick Henry was really only offensive star that they had. And I look at the playoff game, too. Like, you knew they were going to run the ball because DeAndre Swift had a great game the first time they played against the Buccaneers. All of a sudden, they're going to game plan. Why are you not adjusting for it?
Well, Todd Bowles also is a very good defensive mind. Yeah. And Todd Bowles knows and understands how the Eagles were going to run their offense. And one of the main reasons why they were running their offense and they were going to run with the running game was because their wide receiving core was not fully there. They knew that A.J. Brown was their playmaker. A.J. Brown was a top 3 wide receiver. When we speak about who was 1, 2, and 3 this year at the wide receiver position, I would say that A.J. Brown was the second best wide receiver in football. He was that good this year. And that says a lot about who he is. And when he is not playing in a big game, and I'm telling you right now, if A.J. Brown didn't have such a beef with Nick Sirianni, I bet you he plays in that game. I bet you he plays in that game. And it might have been a different score. It might have been a different game. One player can make a difference, especially when you're opening up the field. You're opening up one side of the field and giving Smith an opportunity to run. Maybe Goddard's more open. Maybe he can make more catches. And that running game could open up as well. And maybe Jalen Hurts wasn't pressured as much as he was, in the pocket early in the game. So there was a lot of mistakes by the Eagles, and that has a lot to do with Nick Sirianni's coaching ability. And that has a lot to do with his coaches that he brought in after two coaches decided to go and take their coaching jobs in Arizona and in Indianapolis. So,
and Brian Johnson too. You look at the development of Hurts initially, he did well with, and then after that, it was just a train wreck for him because you look at him not even running Jalen Hurts a lot this year either. That hurt him. That's a big reason he was an MVP candidate in 2022. Shane Steichen actually used him in that RPO type system, and they started to take it away. I've seen these Eagles fans on Twitter, including our friend Brian Drake that we've had on the show many times, complain about how many screens do they use. It's just like, it's crazy. Like it got so predictable to the point where even the Giants defense, even the Cardinals defense that are so bad, were figuring it out. And that's why they're losing to so many good teams. In addition to the defense, which is just a bit abysmal. And you're right, Darius Slay, I think, will return to Detroit or something like that. He'll be on his way out at some point because that team does not know how to coach defense at this point when they don't have a pass rush. I don't know what I was saying with the Browns yesterday, but it's even worse with the Eagles.
And Nick Sirianni is an offensive coordinator. That's what he is. And that's where he came from. He came from Indianapolis. So, and I'm not surprised when you're hearing A.J. Brown not like what Nick Sirianni is doing on the sidelines. And I've said this about Nick. Nick is a good guy. Everything that we've heard different people. We even one of our guys that might be joining our show very soon, and Smith, says he's a nice guy, but he's a yes man type of coach.
Yep.
He's not much of a leader. He's not that leader type of coach where you're going to follow him. You know, when it comes to, if you need to go into quicksand and you need your team to work out of the quicksand, he's not the guy that's going to lead that team outside, out of the quicksand and get the whole team out of quicksand. If he's sinking, he's going to take everybody with him. And that's Nick Sirianni right now. He is taking the team with him. This is a very talented team. They made some good moves at the trade deadline. They brought, and off of waivers, they brought Shaq Leonard in. Shaq Leonard is an all-pro type of linebacker with the Colts. He became available. You bring him in. You brought Byard in, who was actually a Tennessee Titan all-pro player for a couple of years. And you bring this kind of talent, and you can't win a game against a Buccaneer team that shouldn't have been there this year, that shouldn't have won the division this year. So, I have to give Baker Mayfield a lot of credit. I have to give Todd Bowles a lot of credit for defending that offense, but it wasn't much of an offense. And Nick Sirianni, honestly, instead of, flashing your wings on the sidelines and pretending that you're flying like an eagle, okay? And that's been a big problem of Nick Sirianni over the last 2 seasons over there with the Philadelphia Eagles. You didn't win anything. You didn't win the Super Bowl last year. You had a chance to. You choked against Kansas City. That's what you did. You choked. Your secondary choked in that game in the fourth quarter.
Pass rush didn't have a sack.
That's right. And that has a lot to do with your coaching. That's the truth. And then this year, when I think you guys were 8-0 or 7-0. After, I don't remember what team you were playing against, but you win that game and you blow them out. You were flapping your wings on the sidelines like an eagle, showing off and trying to express yourself. How about being humble? How about being that way? Because you want to know something. When you're in your own stadium and you have fans, or you have your own fans holding up "Get rid of Sirianni" in the out there in the crowd and saying that Nick sucks and having chants that Sirianni sucks throughout certain games, it says a lot about what your fan base thinks of you.
Yeah, there were Eagles fans with bags on their head in that game, that Buccaneers game. And I think one guy even threw popcorn at him at the end of the game. It tells you how quickly the Philly fans can turn on you, too. We talk about it all the time with New York media. Like New York media, it can be overreacting. Same kind of thing with Philly fans. They're the same kind of way, and you're seeing it all season long. Like, I was making the joke with one of our guests that I've seen on Twitter, like, Eagles fans can think they have the best record of the NFL and want to fire everybody at the same time.
Isn't it crazy? The NFC East right now, the Cowboys, this could be Mike McCarthy's last year. Just think about it.
Yep.
This could be Mike McCarthy's last year. He's probably the best coach in this division right now. And he was 12-5, and people are running him out for Bill Belichick. Okay, just hold on. Nick Sirianni, who should have been fired at the end of the season, and he's probably going to keep his job because certain players are all of a sudden sticking up for him. But your best player, or arguably your second best player right now, doesn't even want to play for you. He pretty much pushed away your social media accounts because you don't want anything to do with the Eagles. The Giants, with the whole Brian Daboll situation, how long is that going to last? As all the coaching staff they're going to rebuild the coaching staff because half the coaches decided to part ways with them. And then there's the Commanders that are still looking for a coach. There is not one coach that I believe that might have a job after next season. That's crazy in the NFC East to think that.
Mike McCarthy is like the one that you have some kind of stability with just because Dak
Not
likes him.
really.
But Jerry Jones, I mean, yeah, he loves him.
One more. The only reason why he's
Yeah.
bringing back Mike McCarthy is because he has one more year left on his contract, and Bill Belichick had no interest in going there.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why. And Mike McCarthy would be the best player the best coach available if he became available in the free agency coach market. So why would he get rid of a guy that he has control over for one more year? That's the only reason why. Would you want Mike Vrabel over Mike McCarthy? Probably not.
No.
Not right now. Maybe if Mike McCarthy fails, maybe you're bringing in Mike Vrabel. Maybe. Or, there could be somebody else that becomes available next year if a team doesn't play well. But right now, it's pretty scary or, I wouldn't even call it scary.
It's back to the old crappy NFC East.
I'm questioning where these teams are going when it comes to the coaching staffs. Really, the Commanders, again, they don't know. They've interviewed a couple of jobs, a couple of coaches for the job. There's no guarantees that any of those coaches are going to want that job. And by the way, Bill Belichick didn't even go for the interview over there. He didn't even interview for that job. So where are they going? They're going for an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator that's never coached a team before?
Yeah.
Or maybe you just give it to Eric Bieniemy. That's what I think they should do. He's a guy that helped Sam Howell, recreate his quarterback play after being drafted as low as he has.
Yeah, 5th round.
Yeah, and maybe you move forward with a Sam Howell and you draft a wide receiver, another wide receiver over there, like a Marvin Harrison Jr., and then give Sam Howell more weapons. I don't know, but there is no guarantees that any one of the top 3 teams in this division are going to have these coaches at the end of next season.
Right. We talk about the priorities with any head coach first, why some of these coordinators being too stubborn with their team, it doesn't work out. And we talked about yesterday with Brian Dable, like he got angry with other coaches. We're blaming them, throwing them under the bus, Wink Martindale especially. And what does he do? He steps away. 4 other coaches step away. The Eagles are going to probably have to go through that same kind of thing. And it's actually kind of lucky that Brian Johnson is, for some reason, getting head coaching jobs. I don't know what he did this year to deserve a head coaching job. I know he did well in the previous year as the quarterback coach, but still, what did he do this year to warrant that the Falcons are going to take him over Bill Belichick or going to take him over Jim Harbaugh? The Panthers, maybe they're stuck with him because I don't know who's going to want to go there, but still, that might be a blessing in disguise for them. But I don't see anyone else in this coaching staff, maybe besides some position coaches, staying at this point.
The New York Post, Brian Lewis, reports that the Nets have expressed interest in Hawks point guard DeJounte Murray. Lewis added that the Nets would likely trade Spencer Dinwiddie in a potential trade, as well as some young players like Cam Thomas and multiple first-round draft picks. Another report mentioned that the Nets will definitely not trade Mikal Bridges in any deal at the trade deadline. ESPN reports that the Lakers are looking for an upgrade at the point guard position and are also interested in Murray. Reports say that the Lakers are completely out on Zach LaVine and could look at either Tyrus Jones or Colin Sexton if they can't get Murray. The Lakers say they will not move Austin Reeves in any potential deal for Murray. The 76ers and the Heat are reportedly completely out on trading for Murray. And the reason why I think the Heat are out, because they're obviously going after Donovan Mitchell. I do believe that. And I don't know if Donovan Mitchell is the guy that the Knicks are going to bring in, because we have not heard Donovan Mitchell's name being brought up at any point in the last 2 weeks. So the Knicks and obviously the Nets are looking to make a move that could take them over the top. Now, if you get DeJounte Murray, does that give the Nets an opportunity to be a contender in the playoffs this year? No. I don't. If I were the Nets, I don't trade Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is a player that you found in the draft that could be a star in this league. And you're going to just part ways with him because you want DeJounte Murray. And by the way, DeJounte Murray is a good point guard, and he puts up great numbers. But if he was that great, why did the San Antonio Spurs decided to part ways with him? How about that? You're going to bring in another personality where you have guys like Ben Simmons there. And Mikal Bridges, he's a good player. He's a great player. His contract is up after next year. He's a free agent. He's going to be 29, 30 when he becomes a free agent. Where do you think he's going to want to go? His three best friends are playing for the New York Knicks in Hart, Brunson, and DiVincenzo. All three of those guys played with him in college ball. So where do you think Mikal Bridges is going to want to go if he becomes a free agent? And I know the Nets are going to do everything they can to re-sign him in the offseason, but he might say, you know what? I want to wait. I want to go to my free agency, and I want to see what's going to be out there. Because obviously, you know where he's going to be heading. So I don't know why the Nets are going to be willing to trade away first-round draft picks. Haven't they done enough in trading away first-round draft picks over the years? And Marks, he's made a lot of mistakes over the last couple of years. A lot of mistakes. Bringing Kevin Durant, bringing in Kyrie Irving, bringing in James Harden, giving up all those draft players and those draft stock of players in Houston. Houston is singing to the promised land right now because they could be lottery picks, okay? And the Nets, they finally get first-round draft picks for the Kevin Durant trade. And what are they going to do? They're going to trade him away for DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray. This isn't Donovan Mitchell. And by the way, they know they have no chance at Donovan Mitchell because he doesn't want to play for them.
And again, they also need size, too. They need more size than the Knicks do, and the Knicks, all their size is injured. And there's no point in going after another guard for that reason. They have enough scoring power. The Nets have a good offensive team. Like you were saying, Cam Thomas is doing very well. Mikal Bridges, he might not stay there long term, but he's doing well. And that's what you have to build on in the scoring aspect. Basketball now is a lot of not as much position specific if you have talent on your team. And point guard is one of those positions. Yeah, it's hard to find a good one, and same kind of thing with the center position that's as well-rounded as DeJounte Murray, because he's a balanced player. He doesn't really have a significant flaw in his game, but at the same time, the Nets don't need that kind of thing right now. The Nets, you're right, they're dumb enough to maybe do that kind of thing if they want to trade all these first-round picks away, because they just traded a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal, of all players, but still. They also just took in Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons has played 6 games all year. They're not really building an ideal team culture. Why would DeJounte Murray want to stay there long-term, even if they do trade for him?
I don't understand it. But again, DeJounte Murray is going to get a max contract, and the Nets will be able to give him a max contract.
Sure.
And that not a super max contract because he's not what does he have to be?
Second all-NBA
Second
player.
all-NBA player, and he's not a second all-NBA player. So he's not going to get a super max contract, but he'll get a max contract. And,
right.
and if it's not the Nets, he'll get the most from the Nets because the Nets have control of him. But how much is he going to lose? 25, 30 million. So
yeah,
I don't think it's a big deal to DeJounte Murray if he decides not to stay with the Nets. And that's why I think the Nets should hold back and not trade away any draft stock. They made a lot of mistakes over the last couple of years doing that. And it set their team back and put their team in a really bad position. And that had a lot to do with Marks, because Marks did exactly what Mr. King did and traded away their future. Their future at one point was very good, and they had a great coach there who now is the assistant coach of a Golden State Warrior team that's falling apart themselves.
And again, you also look at the Lakers, too. Like, I don't think it really makes sense for them either, because the Lakers have 2 point guards that are decent, D'Angelo Russell and Dennis Schroeder on their team. They have LeBron, obviously, and there's no guarantee LeBron is going to stay there either. So DeJounte Murray, if you're going to make a long-term commitment to the Lakers, if, say, the Lakers trade for him and they trade Hachimura on a couple of draft picks or whatever because they're not trading Reeves, do you trust LeBron to want to stay there? Do you trust Anthony Davis to want to stay there? And DeJounte Murray, I don't know if you could necessarily believe that kind of thing, because you talk about with the Spurs. Like, he played with the Spurs when the Spurs were on their downfall. Kawhi Leonard had that one big season in 2017 before he got hurt. They went to the Western Conference Finals. I think that was Murray's rookie year. And since then, the Spurs have been just mediocre at best, and the last 2 years were horrible. So he knows he wants to win now.
Fly like an eagle to the sea. You like that?
Yes, that was actually very good. I don't know if it's a good impersonation of the song. Well, yeah, but you gave it a little bit of a metal twist there.
You think I could sing? Do you think I can add a little bit of tune to my voice and become a hit singer? What do you think?
I think you could.
Oh, you're out of your mind. I would be the worst singer. I would be the worst singer.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be.
You want me to try to sing a song right now?
Should we bring back your classic one?
Oh, no, I'm not. Maybe another day. I don't want to scare anybody away. Right. Stroman says he and Cashman hashed out their past beef during the contract talks this past week. So, and I don't know if you know the story. A couple of years ago in 2019, Cashman said we were interested in Stroman, but we didn't think he would be a difference maker. Cashman said to Yahoo Sports in 2019, we felt he would be in our bullpen in the postseason. That pissed off, obviously, a very up-and-coming or whatever, a pitcher that wanted to be a Yankee, grew up a Yankee fan, and it pissed him off, and he didn't want to be a Yankee. There was a lot of conversations about that. But you want to know something? Marcus Stroman still has a lot to prove. He's 32 years old. He's a right-handed pitcher. He's playing in Yankee Stadium. He's a ground ball type of pitcher, which is good for Yankee Stadium. That's what the Yankees like, is ground ball pitchers. Problem with him is he's injury prone. And this has been a problem for the Yankees pitching staff for years, is that their starting rotation cannot stay healthy. As we saw Carlos Rodon, they gave him money last year. He was one of the better left-handed pitchers that were available in a very long time. They give it to him. And now Blake Snell. I do believe the Yankees will seal the deal with Blake Snell. There's a reason why Blake Snell has not signed with another team. I think they're still negotiating with the Yankees, and that's why I think he believes he is going to go. But Marcus Stroman is a different personality. We saw him with the Mets. He didn't get along with some of the guys in the locker room. We've heard he didn't get along with certain coaches on the roster. So that's something that the Yankees needed to look at before they decided to sign Stroman. They get him on a very good team-friendly contract. The third-year option only goes if he pitches 140 innings in his second year. So the Yankees are put in a very good position because they still could go after a big name pitcher and another left-handed pitcher, and it gives them 3 pitchers that are lefties in their starting rotation. So, and that's something in Yankee Stadium that the Yankees have not. First of all, that's something in the Yankees rotation they haven't had in a very long time. Yep. I would say since the 90s, and something that the Yankees need in their rotation in the playoffs.
Yeah, and again, you also look at somebody like Stroman, who I think depth-wise really helps that rotation. And a lot of his injury issues, I know he was hurt at the end of the season last year with the Cubs, but most of his injury issues came earlier in his career too. And I think that's a track record you could trust a little more than some of the other pitchers they brought in. Remember, they tried to bring in James Paxton, how injury-prone he was, and he really never pitched much for the Yankees. Same kind of thing when they signed free agency Zach Britton as a reliever. Like, he had some injury issues at the end of his Orioles career, and they didn't really take that into account. And I think that kind of thing helps. Now, it's interesting with Snell too. I saw a report that he wants $250 million.
He's not getting that.
I don't think he's going to get it either at this point. But he also said that the Yankees were so far off in their first contract, but he's willing to go to them again because other teams were giving him about the same thing. And it seems like the West Coast thing that I thought might have affected them. I thought the Giants or even the Dodgers, before they went in after Glasnow, would have gone after them. It doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing today, Blake Snell.
I don't think the Yankees are going to give him 250. I can see the Yankees giving him 200 million. Yep. He's worth 200 million. But here's the problem with Blake Snell. Over the years, he's had injury-prone problems too. Yep. So that's something that the Yankees have to worry about. Look at Carlos Rodon. They gave him $27 million a year. They signed him to a 6-year deal. And look, his first year, he barely pitched. And when he did pitch, he pitched like crap. So the Yankees need consistent rotation pitching. And now you look at the Marcus Stroman thing. Marcus Stroman can be consistent. He was good in the first half of the season for the Chicago Cubs and then fell off, maybe because of injury. Maybe his calf wasn't 100% healthy. I don't know what it was. And it's interesting with the Brian Cashman thing, because Brian Cashman has had problems with players over the years, including his own players, and Derek Jeter. When he went to the Hall of Fame, Brian Cashman went to his Hall of Fame inductee, and he actually he pulled Derek Jeter to the side. I watched the Derek Jeter documentary with ESPN. I've watched it, and Derek Jeter said they had to rehash and hash out the stuff that he had and what he had problems with Brian Cashman when he was trying to negotiate his final deal with the Yankees, and hash out some of the things that was said behind Derek Jeter's back by the Yankees organization because of Brian Cashman. And Brian Cashman has had that problem with players of his own and players in the league. Some players don't want to play for the Yankees because of Brian Cashman. But here's the thing about Brian Cashman. You say whatever you want about Brian Cashman and what he is as a GM for an organization. Brian Cashman has had over 35 straight winning seasons, which is most in any professional sport in history. That says a lot about who he is as a GM and what George Steinbrenner thought of him when he decided to name him as the GM of the future for the New York Yankees. And he has been there for a significant amount of time. He's worked for the Yankees organization. And a lot of the GMs, a lot of these different GMs or executives or assistant GMs have come from Brian Cashman's, repertoire and have become successful GMs in the league. So you say whatever you want about Brian Cashman. That the Yankees haven't won a championship in 14 years. It really doesn't matter. What stands out for the Yankees, what stands out for what this organization is known for is winning. And if you can win and have a winning season, that says a lot about the organization, even if you're not winning World Series.
Yeah, and you also look at that kind of connection with Brian Cashman and Marcus Stroman, too. It's good that Brian Cashman is trying to establish that kind of thing after all the stuff that happened with the winter meetings and the comments he made about Giancarlo Stanton and all that, too. It's good that they have a player relationship that they could trust now with somebody like Marcus Stroman. Now, Marcus Stroman, we don't know what he's going to be because he has been inconsistent year to year. He's fallen off in the second half a lot. And again, I do worry about that kind of thing in Yankee Stadium, the type of pitcher that he is. But at the same time, it's a player that definitely wants to be there. And it's a player that still could lure other pitchers there too. Even though he's not respected by a lot of these coaches and he's not respected by a lot of these organizations, he's actually had good connections with a lot of his veteran teammates. Now, we were talking about the issue yesterday with the issue with the Blue Jays, with some of their rookie players that he wasn't getting along with them when he first came up in 2014. And that team got good overnight too.
He wasn't getting along with a lot of the Met players too.
Yeah, and I know the Mets had a weird trajectory with everything because outside of Pete Alonso, that team had no leadership whatsoever. And they had managers that loved to do stupid things off the field. They had Luis Rojas, who didn't know what he was doing when it came to player relationships either. And they had GMs that had off the field issues as well. So the Mets are just dysfunctional mess on its own. I'm not going to make that independent of Marcus Stroman, but the Blue Jays, they built a good team with those trades, the big trades for Donaldson and big trades for Tulowitzki, and they built a team very well overnight, but Stroman, who was a younger player, really didn't get along with them, so that kind of thing is gone. But the Yankees, and also with the Cubs last year, they kind of established that kind of thing quickly, and it's good for Cashman to be able to make that kind of move as well.
And I think Cashman knows what he's looking for and knows where this team could be this year if they add a guy like Blake Snell. And what they did with Marcus Stroman, they gave themselves some depth, and that's something that the Yankees have not had over the years. And look, they had Domingo Germán, they had all these other guys, and it didn't work. And as they decided last year to move King to the starting rotation, why did they do that? Because they didn't have enough depth in their pitching and starting rotation, and they had to move King from the bullpen into the starting rotation. Now this year, if you add Marcus Stroman, now you add maybe a Blake Snell. Now you have enough for the rotation. If there's an injury here or an injury there, their rotation, if they have four good dominant pitchers and they could bring a young pitcher from their farm system up for their number 5, or maybe even a Schmidt could turn out to be a third or second starter. Because I remember when Schmidt was drafted, everybody said he has the kind of stuff that could be your second starter in your rotation. He really hasn't developed into that, but hey, he pitched very well in the second half last year, and hopefully Schmidt is starting to figure things out as a young pitcher. And maybe that was one of the reasons why the Yankees decided to keep him.
Yeah, especially what happened last year with Carlos Rodon, too. They really can't afford to make that kind of mistake with any of these other pitchers, too. These guys that are injury prone as well. Now, Stroman, like I said, his injuries have come more in his career, but that same kind of thing was with Rodon, too. And they still misdiagnosed it, mismanaged it, whatever it took, because Rodon, they brought him back early. Then he had all those back issues, and then he never was the same this season. I think he will bounce back. Now, Marcus Stroman is that same kind of thing. Most of his injuries are nagging injuries, nothing really significant, but they still have to manage it that same way. And if the Yankees don't do that, they're going to have those same kind of problems where you're forcing Clark Schmidt or these other types of young pitchers, the ones they didn't trade in the Soto deal, that to be in roles that they're not comfortable with. And we were talking about it with Jabba Chamberlain too. Jabba Chamberlain was saying how Brian Cashman and this regime with the Yankees made these pitchers pitch in roles that are very uncomfortable for them. And I think that affected a lot of their developments. And if they can't manage it properly with Stroman or even any other starter they bring, if they do bring in Snell or somebody else like that, or they make a trade, then all of a sudden you're going to have that same problem.
Former Arizona Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury is expected to interview for the Chicago Bears offensive coordinator opening, sources say, and sources told by ESPN's Adam Schefter on Thursday. Kingsbury is the 9th known candidate the Bears have requested to interview, joining a list of including Shane Waldron, Greg Olson, Clint Kubiak, Liam Cohn, Greg Roman, Thomas Brown, Marcus Brady, and Zach Robinson. The Bears fired former offensive coordinator Luke Getsy and 4 members of the offensive staff January 10th and began their search for replacing the offensive coordinator. Chicago ranked 2nd in rushing, but 27th in passing offense in 2023. I think it's a great hire if they bring in Cliff Kingsbury. First of all, if you bring in a Caleb Williams, which more than likely, even if you don't bring in Caleb Williams and you bring Justin Fields, I think Cliff Kingsbury is a great offensive coordinator, especially for young quarterbacks and developing young quarterbacks. As you saw what he did for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes praises Cliff Kingsbury, saying that if it wasn't for Cliff, he wouldn't be the quarterback he is today. He also helped Baker Mayfield develop. So this is a guy that knows how to develop young quarterbacks. And maybe if you bring in a Cliff Kingsbury, you decide, hey, Cliff says, I could fix a guy like Justin Fields. You can hold off on drafting a quarterback at 1, trade out of that pick, get a significant amount of chunk change of first-round draft picks in the future for the Chicago Bears organization. You still have that number 9 pick where you can get yourself another wide receiver.
And again, you also look at the offensive coordinators that are really hooked to this position, whether it's because of Fields or because of this number 1 pick. That's a nice list that they got there, too. I actually was advocating for Greg Roman to be their head coach a while ago when he was having success with the Ravens, and he had success with the 49ers, obviously, with Kaepernick. When they first drafted Fields and the whole Nagy thing didn't work out, I was actually advocating for him to be a head coach. I think he would be a great fit if they decide to keep Fields. And same kind of thing with Shane Waldron, too, as the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. He helped really rebirth Geno Smith last year. Now, this year he wasn't as good. He had some turnover issues, but a lot of that to do with Geno Smith dealing with injuries. Now, it's interesting if Cliff Kingsbury comes there, if they do either keep Fields, like you were saying, a lot of the quarterbacks that he's coached, including Kyler Murray, are like that, or if they draft Caleb Williams. Because remember, Cliff Kingsbury was on that USC coaching staff for a little while after he had that whole Thailand retreat.
Yeah, and that's why I think Caleb Williams could be a guy that they could be looking at number 1. But again, Justin Fields can be fixed, and I don't think they're far off with winning with Justin Fields if they give themselves another wide receiver. I think a guy from the kid from Washington, Dunze, I think he would be perfect on the other side with a guy like Moore. I think they need another weapon, and they have weapons. They need a running game too, because they have no number 1 running back after giving up David Montgomery, who went to the Lions, who had a really good season as their number 2 guy behind Gibbs in the second half of the season. So I sit here today, and I think Cliff Kingsbury is the best pick. And this is a good list of offensive coordinators. Even Greg Golson, who's never been an offensive coordinator. He's a good broadcaster, by the way. He does a very good job for Fox Sports. And a lot of people took shots at Greg Golson 2 years ago, and he did the Super Bowl last year. So I think I think he could be a good offensive coordinator, maybe a head coach. I know he was interested in the Carolina job when it became available. I don't know if they're going to interview him, but as an offensive, he needs to prove himself as an offensive coordinator. And remember, he was a successful tight end in the league. And Cliff Kingsbury, I think he's a very good offensive coordinator. I really do. I don't know if he's a head coach, but he's a very good offensive coordinator. He knows how to develop quarterbacks. Like I was saying just a little while ago, I think he could figure it out what's going on with Justin Fields. And if it's not Justin Fields, Caleb Williams would be a nice fit. And he knows Caleb Williams very, very well. A nice fit to combine him with Cliff Kingsbury on their mutual way into the new season. So it's going to be very, very interesting with Cliff Kingsbury. I think if it happens, it's a great hire. I think out of all these guys, I hired Cliff Kingsbury.
Speaking of Chicago Bears, our childhood Chicago Bears fan, Wes, as well as Chaz, has arrived. But first, before we do that, we go to our friend, Mr. Tommy Scoops.
This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute.
Are you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
More college football news currently developing as Washington quarterback Austin Mack just transferred to Alabama to join his former head coach, Kalen DeBoer, where Kalen DeBoer actually just announced as well he will be hiring Wisconsin safeties coach and co-defensive coordinator Colin Hitzler to join his staff over there in Alabama. So he's getting some pieces together. He's getting a lot of people did leave after the transfer portal, after Nick Saban leaving. So hopefully things are looking well for Kalen DeBoer. Very good coach over there. So hopefully things are looking well. In NFL news, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy, who is actually confirmed to be staying with the team just yesterday, expressed in his press conference today saying he wants everybody and the fans to buy into us as his mission is to win a championship for the team, where you're not setting a great look, Mike McCarthy, so you might have to work on that come next year. Josh Allen exactly expressed how excited he is to be playing back-to-back playoff games and against a rival in the Kansas City Chiefs, where he hasn't done too much. He hasn't played very well. Well, he's played very well against the Chiefs in the playoffs, but looks to gain his first victory against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Now, for scoops and scores, the Bulls and Raptors are actually at the halftime, with the Bulls up 63-58, and the leading scorer on the Raptors being Bulls being Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan. The Wizards and Knicks are actually about to head into the halftime, with the Knicks actually up 42-41 late in the second quarter, with Jalen Brunson being the leading scorer with 14 points. There's 2 other games to be kicked off within the next few hours, but however, I will send it back over to the Sports Junkies for this next segment called Let's Parlay.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Speedy's bringing it back. Chazzy, he's back, ladies and gentlemen, from Brazil. Sick and ready to rock. But Let's Parlay. 631-672 3108 is the number to call. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I am the Loudmouth. I am Errol Marks. My co-host Speedy Petey is not hanging from his underwear. And Speedy's just blasting the music. Are you trying to make me rap or something? I don't know if you want to hear that. Speedy is all over the place tonight. Maybe he hasn't combed his hair. Well, he definitely hasn't combed his hair. He said 8 hours ago he was combing his hair. He does not look like he combed his hair. And if he did comb his hair, he's done a bad job. Anyways, there is a guy over here, and there's 2 guys. One guy that looks like he has a nice set of white hair, and the other one that doesn't have hair at all. He doesn't have hair any bit on his
head. But just think, when Wes packs to go to Vegas next year for our trip, he won't need to pack a brush.
Well, there you go. So we call this segment Let's Parlay.
It's time for Let's Parlay.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no Derek Mountaineer. He's not here tonight. We don't have Johnny Reno. Hopefully he's not getting drunk or driving or doing anything crazy, as we all know he likes to do. No, he doesn't like to drive drunk, but he likes to drink. But yeah. Anyways, we have Chazzy. He's back. He's not sick. He's not in Brazil. He's not hanging out with the fishies. He's not hanging out with the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And we have Worldwide Wes. What is going on, boys?
I haven't seen Wes in a while. How you doing, buddy?
It's been a while, my friend. I mean, we've talked and we haven't seen each other's faces, though.
Hey, so I'm not on the headset. I'm on my webcam. Is everything okay with my sound?
Well, you're a little low, a little low in echo, but we can do. So,
well, here's the thing. I told Speedy, I'm just here for the ball busting. I'm not here.
Listen, if you want to ball bust, I mean, Speedy, I brought up the rhinoceros balls yesterday.
But before we start, I haven't been around. What are the records going? What does my record look like? I haven't asked.
Oh, your overall record? You haven't made a bet in a while. You want to send me something for the last 6 months?
That's why
Speedy should have the records written down. I don't know, but I think
you're right now 27-12 with 1 push. And Wes, you went 3-1 as you usually did last week.
How's that, Wes? That's not bad for an old guy, huh?
No.
What is Wes's record?
Wes's overall record is 43-28.
That's pretty good. How about Johnny Reno? What is he?
Reno Johnny is 48-35-1. Like I said, Chaz, you weren't here for the last time, or not the last time. He was on last week too, but the time he was going to the Alamo Bowl, that he actually was in the tailgate doing his picks with a lot of drinking in him. He was very unlucky though. He missed 2 covers by like half a point each.
And by the way, Worldwide West was there too, but he did not want to come on because he was a little too drunk. But
well, it changes the party when you got to talk to somebody. There's no doubt about that. So here's what I know. I know that I talked to somebody about these games, and there's some good quarterbacks on the field this weekend, Wes, huh?
There is. And it's, you got Mahomes and Josh Allen and CJ all day. This is gonna be a fun weekend coming up.
All right, so I'm going to make my picks. I'm going to go with all 4 games, and we'll do that after. Obviously, after our guest, we'll go over it again, and I'll let Speedy make his picks. But why don't we go through it? As I know you have your picks for the weekend, I will do my football picks, and we go from there. Are you guys ready? Are you ready, Wes? All right, let's hit it. Wes, give us your first pick.
I'm all NFL this week, and it's just the college games that I like. In terms of basketball, a little further out there. So this one, there's a handful of team totals that I like. Rather than pick the actual games, I got a couple team totals. So I'm going to go to Houston and Baltimore. And Houston is statistically very good against the rush, which is Baltimore's strength on offense. I realize that Lamar is playing good ball, and you can't say enough good things about what Lamar is doing and how that pass game has developed this season under a new OC. But when I look at this game and I look at what he was able to do against a very similar defense in terms of quality, in fact, statistically, Cleveland is almost identical to Baltimore. Houston in the first half, the team total is 7.5, and it's paying +1. It's paying +110. I like Houston for some money line actually win this game, let alone cover a point spread. So in order to do that, 7.5 for the first half is the play I'm giving here. Houston will score more than 7.5 in the first half.
All right, his first play. All right, I'm going to go with the Houston and Baltimore Ravens game. I'm actually going to go with a play in this game that right now Gus Edwards is a +550 first touchdown score. I'm going to go with Gus Edwards as the first touchdown score for the Baltimore Ravens. I do believe Baltimore will get on that second or third yard line, and he will punch it in. So I'm going to go with Gus Edwards as the first touchdown for the Baltimore Ravens in game number 1 of the week or the weekend for the NFL divisional games.
I got to chime in here that, Wes, I had a run where I kept betting the over for the Texans. And then Stroud got hurt, right? He missed a game or two, and I was talking to guys on the other show, and I said, I'm assuming other people will pick up the slack, and they score 20 points every single time. Every time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Baltimore is going to run the ball a lot in this game with Lamar Jackson. Gus Edwards is going to touch the ball a lot in this game. It's going to be – the question is this Houston Texan team going to be able to defend it? And with the offensive line playing the way it has this season against very good defensive lines, this is a veteran offensive line. It's a veteran team that's played very well this year, and they're going to spread the ball out. And I think they're going to run the ball a significant amount in this game and pound it on this Texan team. They're a young Texan defense that, a little wet behind the ears. So I think Gus Edwards will score the first touchdown in this game for the Baltimore Ravens. All right, Mr. Worldwide West, give us your second pick.
Did Chaz give his pick?
I'm not giving it.
He's not giving any picks.
No.
I'm just chiming in.
The next one, I'm just going to jump all the way to the last game of the weekend. I'm going to go to Kansas City and Baltimore. You call me a homer, call me whatever you want. My prediction on the Chiefs last week was, I believe it was the first half 12.5 over. We got that almost exactly as called for. And we're going to go back to that game, and I'm not going to touch the first half of over 9.5 because there's no value. It's a -165, and that's just too much juice to give up. But I am going to take the Chiefs over 21.5 for the game. If they're going to have any shot of winning this game, they're going to have to score more than 21 points, and their defense is going to have to show up. So the Cold does not face the Chiefs. Their defense will if they're going to win the game, the defense is going to have to take the ball away and possibly put some points up. I realize how hot Buffalo has been and how trustworthy Josh Allen has been with the ball over the course of the last 6-7 games. They've been in playoff mode, and they've done well for themselves. And now Mahomes plays better. So Chiefs over 21.5 game total for the team.
My second pick will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. Right now, it looks like the number is a plus 6.5 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this game is going to be very close. I think the Buccaneers will keep it close because of the defense. The Detroit Lions will keep it close. I'm gonna go plus 6.5, which is a minus 108 with the Buccaneers. I have the Detroit Lions winning the game, but I think they'll keep it close. So I'm going to go plus 6.5 with the Buccaneers.
You know, one thing, guys, that I have is that Easy Sports data. We capture every single line from every single game. So I have the playoffs all the way back till 2012. And it's funny because I got this big page of Kansas City playoff game data. And then I have this very short page of Kansas City away playoff data because they haven't played on the road at all. But listen to this. This leads back to Wes's play for the game. In their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 overall playoff games, they've scored 21 points.
Well, I think Kansas City is going to score in this game, and I think Buffalo will score in this game. This is going to be back and forth, and that's going to be my third pick, by the way. But, all right, Worldwide West, give us your third pick.
So I'm going to take Green Bay in plus 9.5. I don't think what they did to Dallas is Dallas melting down. I think that Dallas was out-coached. They were out-tough. They came in with the right game plan, punching them in the face, running the ball early. Their defense was opportunistic. Yeah, you can blame Dak for giving the ball away, but Green Bay's players were where they needed to be. It has been weeks, almost a month, since San Francisco has played football with any meaning at all. There is going to be some rust. I'm not saying Green Bay wins this game, although they're capable of it. What they just did to Dallas, again, I think is more about Green Bay and less about Dallas. And so much in the media is being made of the Dallas meltdown. And it should be. But Green Bay showed up and played ball, and they got it was a near perfect quarterback rating for Jordan Love. They have receivers that are so young and so talented, you don't know which one to game plan for because they're just learning how to play together as a unit. Their running game can perform. So I really like Green Bay in this game. They got a shot to win. I don't think they will, but 9.5 is too many. And some of these games, the heavy money doesn't look like it's come in yet because when I'm looking at line movement, these lines have pretty much stayed the same. And there's, certain games, this one in particular, it's 50-50 right down the middle in terms of where the tickets are, which means there's no heavy money on either side because it opened at 9.5 and it's staying at 9.5. I think as we inch closer to kickoff, probably on Saturday, we're going to see a big hit of wager on one side or another. And I'm, regardless of where it goes, I like taking points in this scenario. San Francisco just hasn't played real ball in a long time.
I'm going to go into the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills game. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Obviously, in Buffalo, everybody thinks both teams. Buffalo is a good defensive team. They've been one of the better defensive teams in the league in the last 5-6 games of the season. They were pretty good against some of the better teams in the league, and they shut down Miami at the end of the season as well. So I think that Buffalo – going into this game, they didn't look very good last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They really didn't. Pittsburgh had a chance at one point to get back into the game with 2 backup quarterbacks. I mean, they didn't even have their number one guy. And is their number one guy really a number one guy? I mean, so Kansas City obviously has Patrick Mahomes. This is a team that could put up points. We saw what Rice did last week against Miami. We also saw what Travis Kelce could do, drop the ball, and then when he needs to make a catch here and there, he will. I don't think Travis Kelce will have as bad a game back-to-back days and back-to-back weeks in the playoffs. I think he's going to put up good points this week. I would expect – I would bet on this, even though it's not my pick, that Travis Kelce scores in this game at least one time. But the over-under, that's where I'm going to go. Right now it's 45.5. I'm going to bet that it's going to be over 50 in this game. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Both teams are very good defensively, but I think both – and we saw this last time when they played against each other in the playoffs. They went to overtime. It was the high-flying game, and it was the Josh Allen rule where now, if you score a touchdown in the playoffs in the overtime, you get a chance to bring the ball down as well to try to score. So I do believe this will be high scoring. I would think that I would say 55 or even 60 points will be scored in this game, and it could go to overtime. So I'm going to go with the over 45 and a half.
All right, so let me chime in on both of those plays. Hey, Wes, do you remember when I went and started my run? I got that free money from Bovada, and we went on the weekend. We went on the bachelor's party weekend up to L.A. That night game, San Francisco whacked Dallas. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, that was the last time they covered at home. It's been 3 months.
Wow.
So there you go. And they're giving 9.5. As far as the other play, yeah, listen to this, Errol, in terms of the Buffalo, I mentioned Kansas City scoring in the playoffs. You know, Buffalo's got a pretty good record there, playoffs games. Remember, when we print these out, some of these teams, like Detroit, they're the last time, first of all, they had no home data for home games because I've only been doing this for 12 or 13 years, not 30. But Buffalo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games of the 6 playoff games that they played recently they've gone over 24 points. So that's your 45 right there.
All right. Wes, give us your parlay pick.
So I'm going back to the first game that I called out, which was Houston and Baltimore. And I listen to a lot of gentlemen like yourself, Errol, and Sports Talk Radio and all the opinions that are out there. I really can't get enough of it. I don't know why John Harbaugh gets a pass for some of their early exits with some of these high seed, fantastic teams that they've had in the playoffs. Remember a couple of years ago, they were going to win the Super Bowl and Tennessee just came in and whacked them. Where did they finish in the playoffs last year? Were they in the playoffs last year?
They lost in the first round.
They lost in the first round against the Bengals because they had a third-string quarterback playing because Lamar Jackson decided, hey, you know what? You're not paying me. I'm not playing.
Well, but if we keep going back, it just seems like they underachieve in the playoffs. And John Harbaugh seems to get a pass for it while we kill some of these other coaches for the 12-win season and then the early exit in the playoffs. I like Houston. I think DeMeco Ryans has got them playing such good ball that they're outplaying the quality of the players that they actually are. They play great on defense. CJ is completely fearless. Their receivers are catching the ball. They're taking fearless shots down the field. This is way too many points, and I'm going to call this one out the same way that I did last week with Houston. I'm going to be placing 75% of my investment, taking the 9.5 points, and the other 25% of my investment is Houston outright beating Baltimore. They, under John Harbaugh, have folded in some of these big moments, and I think that some of their wins towards the end of the season, this win against Miami, the quality of that win, I think, is a little bit overstated just because of how Miami has demonstrated this ability to shrink against good opponents in big-time moments. San Francisco, we'll call it what it is. They whacked San Francisco. But I just feel like we overvalue Baltimore come this time of year, and John Harbaugh doesn't quite deliver ever since the Super Bowl, and that was 12 and Ray Lewis. There ain't no Ray Lewis in that locker room.
So you got the Texans as your final parlay.
What is the money line?
I'll tell you right now because I just had it in front of me. The money line is plus 325.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm gonna nibble on it, and I'm gonna take the points. I love what they're gonna do in the first half. They are red hot right now.
All right. So my final pick is the Green Bay and 49ers game. And I have a couple of guys, and you can make a play and combine this as a pick. Christian McCaffrey will score in this game. Okay. That's a guarantee. Brandon Ayuk will score in this game. You can put that, and you can seal that. You can seal that. And I'm going to predict, okay, Brock Purdy will run in a touchdown in this game. So all three guys will score in this game. I have Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and Brock Purdy running in a touchdown in this game. Seal it, deliver it. That's my big play right there. And I think
that's a big play. What is that going to pay?
I'm plugging it in right now. I'm going to plug it in right now.
You just did a parlay on Let's Parlay. So you went from 4 plays to 6 plays.
That's right.
So C-Mac scoring is minus 280. Ayuk is plus 140. And Brocktober is plus 600. There is no option on my site to multiple them, but it's my guess is
what side are you on?
I'm on Bovada.
They won't let you parlay that?
They usually don't. They usually offer their fixed parlays.
Well, you gotta, I think don't you have to go? I think don't you go because I've done it on there, but you got to go into props. I think maybe I don't know.
Let's see, prop builder.
But that no, so we could do the math. Right, plus 140 and plus 600 pays a shitload, and minus 280 is McCaffrey. McCaffrey, really, you do with him to get any decent odds. You gotta,
of course,
you gotta say he's going to do 2 or more. You know?
Yes. Well, I'm going to start with that because I know Christian McCaffrey will score in this game. I'm going to tell you this right now. Brandon Ayuk will score in this game at least one time. Guarantee you he'll score in this game. And then and then there's Brock Purdy, where he doesn't usually run touchdowns in, but I expect them to get at that 1 or 2 yard line, and I think they're going to just quarterback sneak with Brock Purdy for a touchdown in the game. So I'm going to predict that Brock Purdy
scenario.
I'm sorry.
A tush push scenario.
A tush push scenario.
Yeah, actually, I believe. I would think. Be honest with you, I could see him scooting in from maybe the 8. I don't think if I'm down at the 1 yard line, I'm not giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey.
But that's what they're going to expect, and that's the thing. And remember, the Packers defense, especially on small, on short downs last week, they stopped the Cowboys. So I think they're going to absolutely dig, and that's why I think you're going to see Brock Purdy score in this game because nobody's expecting it. And Brock Purdy is not a running quarterback. He's not a mobile quarterback.
Would you agree, Wes, that
it's
6-1 is lower than some guys, right?
So plus 1,500 is the payoff for that 3-way.
There you go. That'll throw a C note on that. That'll change your week.
Boy, would it ever! That's what I was looking at the game, and I know Christian McCaffrey, and there's something tells me that Brock Purdy's going to score in this game because, again, nobody's going to expect it, and he's going to use his legs in this game. He'll have one of these like small runs, 5 yard on the 5 yard line.
Errol, this is the biggest total of the week of the 4 games.
So Errol,
you
you're
could see
also
5 touchdowns on each team.
You're also basically calling out the team total over with that because you're calling for 21 points to start with.
Yes. Yep.
So in that world,
because it's 30-20, the team total is 30-something.
Because I do believe the 49ers are going to have a really big lead early, and then they'll go. I believe the Packers are going to get garbage time because I don't think the 49ers are.
Well, but that's how you win a bet when you're getting 9.5 points.
Right.
You get a team that goes up 17. They start talking about who they're playing next week, and all of a sudden the starter's got to come back on the field.
There is no value on a Niners team total over. Is at 29.5. And I mean that's, you would think if we didn't see, if we were able to unsee what Green Bay did last week, 29.5 is not bad, but that feels disrespectful right now to a team that just marched into Dallas and dismantled them.
I will say this. The Niners will have at least 21 on the board by the half.
Well, remember, Wes, you made a great comment that we haven't seen 49ers have to play a real football game that have had any value except for on the scoreboard and in the columns because they were just dominating, and they did have a 7 stretch there where they were scoring 30 every single time. So you know what? If you can turn it on, that's the problem. And you look at these quarterbacks. You got the young kid playing Lamar. Well, I'm just waiting for Lamar to get hurt. I'm waiting for Lamar to screw up. That's what I'm waiting for. And it's because of all those memories you gave me that you're mentioning, Wes, with the history. And then you look at the Green Bay, San Francisco, and these are 2 quarterbacks who, how many games do they have under their belt? We've done more Let's Parlays than they've played games, And you got Tampa Bay and Detroit, kind of the same thing, you know. And then Kansas City and Buffalo is a rematch of the quarterback play we've seen. So I really think that you guys that are winning these bets or losing these bets, it's gonna be all on the quarterback's shoulders. No doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, boys, we really appreciate you as always, Wes. We'll keep in touch. I have a lot to talk to you about, by the way. We'll get in touch. And, I'm happy you're back. I mean, you got to put your mic up a little bit over there.
Well, I went over to I put the headset on. I don't know if you noticed.
I definitely see the headset on you.
Yeah, the echo's on there.
It's definitely a little bit low, so you'll have to fix that. But we're happy that you're back, Chaz. I mean, you've been gone for a while, man, enjoying Brazil with the beautiful ladies.
From Brazil to COVID. Have you been to that place?
Yes, I have. Actually, I had hip surgery.
That place sucked. Did you?
I had hip surgery about 3 years ago when COVID was really bad. I had the Delta, and I couldn't just imagine having COVID and not be able to walk with both your legs and have to go to the bathroom over and over and over and over and over again. Try doing that. And then come and talk to me, okay?
Because that's where you throw the fucking pillows and the cups around the ground in the bathroom.
Oh God, I can't even tell you. And by the way, I didn't sleep for like 5 days. I was so sick. I had fevers. It was the worst. That was when it was really at an all time like bad with the Delta. But hey, you know what? I did lose a lot of weight. I think I lost like 25 pounds when I had.
Yeah. No, getting sick is good for dieting. It's not really my preferred way to lose. I don't mind watching what I eat and exercising. I prefer that over getting sick.
The only thing I could eat at that time was Fig Newtons, and that's because I love Fig Newtons. That's the only thing I could look at and say, "Oh, I can eat that." You know, so I love Fig Newtons. I don't know what it is, but I can eat like a whole sleeve like right now. Within and I know Greg Golson is probably saying that sounds disgusting, but just imagine, you have a nice sleeve right here while I'm, doing my show. Somebody give me a sleeve.
You're talking to a guy who somebody had gifted us a tin, one of those circle tins of Christmas cookies. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I were both hunkering down with COVID, and she doesn't like Christmas cookies. So I had your Fig Newtons. They were just shaped like stars.
Well, here's the thing. During Christmas, there's a thing called Pfeffernuss. I don't know if you guys know what Pfeffernuss are. They're a cookie with powder. I've been trying to find them. Amazon has them, but they don't have them with the powder on it. They have them with the glaze on them. And I bought them, and it's not the same. And I went to ShopRite and Stop and Shop and all these different, food markets over here in New York, and I can't get them. So I was very pissed off this Christmas because I enjoy my Pfeffernuss.
I go to Little Italy and I go to the Italian bakery because you can get all those seasonal because they have at Easter, they St. Joe's Day, they have one. For hell, the Italians have 4th of July pastries.
Chaz, Pfeffernuss is a German cookie. They won't be at the Italian place. That's for sure.
I've never heard of it, but it sounds German.
You've never heard of a Pfeffernuss?
No, but they all the ethnicities have the same little cookie with powder on it, and you pop them like they're nothing. They go in and they're a little.
Are you a coffee drinker? I'm not a coffee drinker. Are you a coffee drinker?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're a little dry.
Are you a coffee drinker? Are you?
Yeah,
you are. So you would love your Pfeffernuss.
Always be cashing, fellas. Have a good night.
There he goes. Run away. I love Wes.
Yeah. Plus, the other ones are what's the ones that have that are like curved? They look like half moons.
Yes.
Anisette, right? Is that it?
Yes,
no,
that's right.
That's the booze.
Yeah, no, Anisette's a licorice booze. Yeah, something like that, though.
I like that. All right, gentlemen. Yeah, so I guess we'll talk to you Saturday night on the radio, right?
That's right, my friend. We'll see you then.
All right, good luck with your place. I got them written down. I'll cover them.
There you go. Let's parlay.
I like that big 50-1 parlay. We'll talk about that after it catches.
I'm telling you, it's going to cash.
Stay out of trouble, huh?
Going to cash. I'm going to stay out of trouble. Yeah, but I was in a lot of trouble over the weekend. Let me tell you, man. I had a terrible Toronto vacation.
Yeah,
I spoke about it yesterday. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I'm sure Greg. We want to get Greg in. So why don't we go to a quick break? When we come back, our friend, he's been on the show before twice, and this will be number 3. We will be talking to former MLB outfielder and current Dodger professional scout, Greg Golson, here on the Sports Loudmouth.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. 631-672-3108. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I like that, Speedy. The deep voice. Give me a deep voice, Speedy.
You are listening to the Sports Loudmouth.
That is horrible. That is absolutely despicable. What are you trying to do here? Are you trying to
get Greg on?
I think it's scary, man. It's a scary voice. Give me something deeper. Give me something deeper.
I don't think I can.
Oh, my God. He's horrible. Oh, go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including The Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. with me and Speedy Petey. All you have to do to check out our local listings is go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Let's parlay with Chaz and Wes. Hopefully my picks are winners for you and you win some big buckaroos. But now a guy that's made a couple of buckaroos, maybe not as much as Garrett Cole or Ohtani, or we can name another player that you just got, Yamamoto. We're now talking to former MLB outfielder and current Dodgers professional scout, Greg Golson. Greg, what's up, bud?
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
We're good, man. You must be doing pretty well as your team is deferring a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I'll put it that way. I like our chances this year.
Well, I like your chances too. But again, there's a lot of questions with the coach, the manager, and I want to see that. I want to see this team at full force this year. Now, Ohtani is not pitching this year, but Yamamoto will. And I think the addition of Yamamoto, now that Ohtani will be out as far as pitching is concerned until next year, until 2025, it gives you that other pitcher. And you have a bunch of pitchers coming back. Tell us your thoughts on obviously making the move and bringing Ohtani. And did you think that landing Ohtani was going to kind of like draw a guy like Yamamoto to come and sign with your team?
I mean, I think he wanted to. I mean, I'm speaking from speculation. I didn't talk to any of these guys, so I'm not trying to get in trouble here. But I think anytime you bring in a guy like Ohtani, that's going to attract other people because obviously everybody wants to win. But especially with Yamamoto being in Japan, I had heard that he had wanted to team up with some other Japanese players. So I don't know. I mean, I think the Dodgers brand is big in Japan and it's going to be bigger, obviously. But I think, Ohtani obviously helped us kind of put our chips all in and get more players, I guess.
So talk about the process of deferring the money, because obviously we've seen teams do it when the contract does get bad with players, like we've seen the Orioles do with Chris Davis, obviously the famous one with the Mets and Bobby Bonilla, but now they're doing it kind of in advance. And are you surprised like a lot of other teams haven't been able to take that on? And talk about the process of the Dodgers doing it.
I mean, it was a shock for me as well when I saw it. I mean, it's not like I'm in the contract negotiations, and obviously with Ohtani, it was very behind the closed doors type of thing. He didn't want anybody knowing what was going on. And I had heard that it was actually his idea to do it. But I don't know. I mean, I think there's probably tax implications that go in with it as far as, when he collects the money. I think if he's living somewhere other than California, it's probably going to be a little bit less of a tax hit for him. But yeah, I think it's definitely interesting. I mean, if another team had done it, I don't think it would have gotten as much press because I think we've done it with the 3 guys that we signed this year. But I think it's creative. I don't know how long it'll be allowed to continue, but we got in there, I guess.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former MLB outfielder and current Dodgers professional scout Greg Golson. You get Tyler Glasnow. Before you landed Ohtani, before you landed Yamamoto, you add a great pitcher in Tyler Glasnow, a guy that's been injury prone over there with Tampa. If you don't remember, I know you remember, but if any fan doesn't remember, he was traded a couple of years ago to Tampa from Pittsburgh and really transitioned and turned into the pitcher that maybe Pittsburgh couldn't develop or didn't develop in as fast as Tampa. And they've been known to be an organization to really develop pitchers. What were your thoughts of making the trade? And by the way, I've been trying to find out what players were traded for Tyler Glasnow. There were 4 prospects traded from the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I'm sure some of them what were the players and who were the players that were traded for Tyler Glasnow?
You'd have to remind me. I mean, I had just had a baby, so I've been a little bit out of the loop. Who did we trade?
Yes, I've been looking. I've been trying to find out because there were 2 prospects, 2 pretty good prospects.
Ryan Pepio is a pitcher, and then Johnny DeLuca is an outfielder that they got him.
And they also had 2. There were 4. There were 4 prospects that were traded. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find it. Those are the only 2 I have listed.
It's all right, but there were 4 players actually traded in the trade. But anyways, tell us a little bit about the 2 players we just named.
Pepio and DeLuca were both guys that got a little bit of time with the big league team last year that were, solid prospects that, I think DeLuca kind of surprised everybody last year with kind of how he came on the scene and did so well. I guess he had just kind of figured it out the year before and, kind of forced his way into the conversation. Pepio was just kind of, with the names that we have in our rotation and on our pitching staff, it's kind of tough for young guys to kind of break in. And I think with DeLuca being a righty, we had plenty of guys that were, I guess had a little bit more experience. So I think both of the guys that sent are probably going to start with the team, but it's a huge opportunity for them because obviously it's hard to get in every day as a Dodger. I mean, we haven't really done that successfully until I guess Outman,
And here's another thing. They gave Tyler Glasnow, they extended him 4 years, $110 million, which is a great contract for one of the, I believe when healthy, one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball. To give him a 4-year, $110 million contract, it's a steal. After paying Yamamoto $325 million, Ohtani $700 million, you had to get a deal, and you get one with Tyler Glasnow. What are your thoughts with the deal that he got?
I think it's awesome. I mean, it's a big market team, so you kind of got to pay a premium, especially coming into the Dodgers. Everyone knows that, we've got a little bit of money, I guess. Similar with the Mets, similar with New York. It's like you go to a big market and you kind of have to pay a little bit more because you're the big market. But, I scouted Tyler Glasnow in the 2020 World Series, and, he's not an easy at bat. And as you saw, we kind of didn't do anything until he left the game. So, it's good to have him in the fold. The 4-year contract, that's awesome because it's really kind of signifying we're going all in. We were quiet last year, and I think we surprised a lot of people with our, the success that we had last year. And it made everyone have expectations that we were like I'm not going to say we weren't a contender because we won 100 games, but, going into last year, I didn't think that we would win 100 games. I'll just put it that way. So
all the hype was on the Padres. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, the Padres, the Braves, obviously. So I think last year for us to be relatively quiet in the offseason and still do what we did, it just kind of shows the potential we have this year when we bring in those guys that are obviously going to give us a boost.
So those were the only two prospects in the deal. It was 4 total players that were in the deal. The Dodgers also took in Manuel Margot's contract the last year of it in the outfield. So, yeah, that was the only one. So I want to go to Yamamoto because his market was very tricky to decipher. It was going to be $250 for a while. Then ever since $300, they're going to give him a 12-year deal, and the Dodgers strike it in with $325. Like, you scouting Yamamoto as a pitcher, like what you know of his skill set, would you have given him that kind of money? Obviously, the Dodgers did. Your organization did. And what do you think the market value?
You know the answer to this. He's not going to
Absolutely. Yeah, great deal.
Get under the bus. You know the answer to this.
I think it's a great deal. I mean, Yamamoto's a small guy, so his fastball plays up quite a bit. I think he's, with a lot of Asian pitchers, they're really good commanding the ball. You saw him in the World Baseball Classic, how well he did. I think it's everyone's kind of anxious to see how he adapts to the U.S. and the competition that we'll have here, but he's going to be pitching a little bit more frequently than he was over there, so there's a lot of question marks. But as far as what he did, to earn it, I feel like everything has been warranted. You can't really go cheap on a guy that offers that much.
As everybody knows, we are talking to MLB outfielder, ex-MLB outfielder, and current Dodgers professional scout, Greg Golson. Greg, you look at the Dodgers right now, and with all the additions that they had, a lot of people would say they're the favorites coming out of the National League. But then you have the Braves that really just, I don't know what the heck they did in the playoffs. They choked. They didn't play very well, and a lot of people thought they were the favorites of coming out of the NL, and they're in the NL East. Philadelphia obviously could get better sometime this offseason. A couple of players, haters available still. Maybe he goes to the Dodgers. Maybe he goes to the Yankees. Maybe he goes to Atlanta. Atlanta hasn't really made any significant moves this offseason, but they have one of the best farm systems in baseball. Their rotation is as good as any rotation in baseball, and their lineup is as deadly in the middle of their lineup as there are from 8, 9, and even at number 1. So where do you see, and how do the Dodgers match up against the Atlanta Braves going into this season?
I mean, that's two juggernauts, and the Braves, they did get Chris Sale. I mean, that's a pretty big addition for them. I think,
I don't know about that. The thing about Chris Sales is we don't know what we're going to get out of him. Is he going to stay healthy? I didn't even know if he was still alive. The guy disappeared off the face of the earth. I mean, seriously.
Him and Noah Syndergaard were in hiding together.
He tears his elbow. He disappears off the face of the earth for 2 years. He comes back in the middle of the year last year. He pitched okay, and then he gets traded, and everybody says, "Oh, look, they got Chris Sale." I mean, we don't even know what Chris Sale is anymore. I mean, I remember when Chris Sale was playing for the. Hold on, I always mess this up. He played for the Chicago White Sox. I remember when he was playing for the Chicago White Sox and the way he threw the ball, and he always comes up from that low point to the high point. I always said, when's that elbow going to go? When's that elbow going to go? He had a couple of good years with Boston and then absolutely fell apart. I mean, and we haven't seen him. So everybody keeps saying Atlanta, they got Chris Sale. I don't know what he is. So I know everybody's saying, well, they got Chris Sale. Let's see what he could do when he actually can pitch. So
I mean, if you look at the Braves' history with veteran pitchers, they tend to get the value that they intended to get out of the player. I mean, you look at like Tyler Matzik. I played with him in indie ball, and like the turnaround that he had from indie ball to being with the Braves is like, I mean, the guy was the best reliever in the postseason that year. So I think Sale is a big addition, not only just because of his track record, but also, I mean, you even mentioned the lineup. Like, what's he got to hold the team to 4 or 5 runs? Like, even if he's the worst version of Chris Sale ever was, he still could win 20 games with that lineup.
That's true.
So it's like I don't know. It's kind of like the rich get richer in that aspect. In that, like, it kind of takes some of the. I don't think Sale was worried about pressure, but it kind of takes the pressure off of him. Meaning, they've got Strider, they've got all these guys that are, they're not asking Sale to go in there and pitch a complete game. So the lightened load could help him, kind of thrive in my imagination.
Yeah, they've rebirthed pitchers that were not necessarily worse. They were still good pitchers, but like Charlie Morton, like came out of nowhere type thing. And even the relievers too. You were talking about some of the relievers. Kenley Jansen, they rebirthed a little bit.
Look at the season Matt Olson had this year. I mean, unbelievable season. I mean, they make a move. They bring Matt Olson. He becomes a superstar. I mean, 54 home runs, 283, 139 RBIs. How many players over the last couple of years have hit over 139 RBIs?
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable what they're doing right now. And that lineup is so good. From top to bottom, 1 to 9 is unbelievable.
They freed Matt Olson and Sean Murphy from that big ballpark in Oakland. Now they can hit home runs.
Maybe they need to spank you, Speedy. You know,
I don't know how that would correlate with hitting home runs. But
well, I mean, they got good swings, and you might.
I know they have good swings. I'm not denying that. I'm a Mets fan. I've watched the Braves plenty of times, and I know they kill the Mets.
Well, there was a former third baseman that named one of his kids Shea.
Yeah, thank you for knowing. I don't need to relive that. I got to heckle him once as a kid, and of course the Braves still won that game. I think the Mets are up 2-1 or 3-1 in the 7th inning, and of course their bullpen in 2007 or 2008, whatever year that was, loved to blow the lead all the time.
So when somebody kills the Mets again, who's one of these guys are going to name their other kid City?
Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, the Braves will have plenty of candidates for that with their very talented roster. Now Spencer Strider, you were talking about him, Greg. He likes to run his mouth and start instigating fights to Mets players too, and stirring up a rivalry that the Mets still haven't figured out yet. So one of the big things in baseball this year was the rule changes. Obviously, the pitch clock being one of them. You being a hitter as well, I'm sure it affected a lot of these hitters that like to spend times with their routines before they got out of the plate. What do you think of some of the rule changes this year, the stolen bases and stuff like that?
You speaking about the rule changes, like
ones they were in place this year? Yeah, the pitch clock, the bigger bases, stuff like that.
You know, I thought going into it, I thought I was going to hate it, but I loved it, especially the pitch clock. The pitch clock was, I mean, I didn't really notice the difference. Like some of the guys that take forever to get in the box or take forever to get on the mound, and really like slowing the game down was a part of some pitchers, I guess, game plan. Like runners would get on base and the game would grind to a halt because they've got to do everything so deliberately. And I used to hate that because it's like, man, that can't be your tactic. Like just compete. So I think the pitch clock was nice. I think the stolen base, you know, the rules that they put on the stolen bases kind of, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way because stealing bases was hard when I played. Like it was hard because the catchers, it was their job to shut down the running game, and they could pick over anytime they wanted to. But now, like, catchers are, you know, runners on base, they've got one knee down. They're trying to frame everything. They're trying to bring everything back to the zone. Pitchers aren't really, you know, pitchers can only pick 3 times, and if they do the third time, they don't get them out, it's a balk. Like, to me, I'm not discrediting Acuna's year because he's a ridiculous talent, generational talent, if you want to say it, but that wouldn't have happened in 2022. Like he wouldn't have had all those stolen bases, you know, like it has an impact on the game. And, you know, if you think about their lineup, like a lot of their guys had stolen base. Well, not a lot of their guys, but Acuna being on base made everyone else better, you know? So I think the impact that the rule changes have been like wildly successful for MLB because it's made the game more exciting, I guess, for especially casual fans. But as far as like all of the rule changes, I feel like at some point we're going to get to a point in the game where it's like, this is completely different than, you know, what it was. And the younger generation will have never known anything different. So, you know, their heroes are going to be better than our heroes type of thing, you know, like, you know, it's kind of starting already where, like, I don't know, Babe Ruth, people think Babe Ruth is like a fat, you know, guy that couldn't play in today's game. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, he was hitting more home runs than the next 2 teams combined. Like,
the stadiums were twice the size at that time.
In the dead ball era.
Yeah.
500-foot polo grounds.
Yeah. So,
no cork in the bat. I mean, the balls are not juiced. Yeah. I mean, this guy's smacking the ball all over the field, and he stinks. Yeah. It's ridiculous. People.
So yeah, I think the game needs heroes, and I think with a lot of the way like the amateur game right now is being, you know, it's being super monetized. So a lot of amateurs are going to these hitting gurus or these pitching gurus that are teaching this brand new way of doing things. And it's, in my opinion, obviously I'm, you know, a little old school, but in my opinion, it's ruining guys' careers. Like ruining it. Like they get to a certain level, and what worked at a previous level just isn't going to work at the next level because guys have better command, or guys don't miss pitches. So, a pitcher that can't throw strikes or a hitter that can't hit the high pitch, that's what is happening. So I think there's going to be a point where there's like a leveling out or going back to what worked.
Very interesting. We are talking to former MLB outfielder and current Dodgers professional scout Greg Golson. He's been on the show before, friend of the show. We love him. Walker Buehler is the big name, a guy that everybody's going to go after next season. He's coming off an injury. I still believe, the best pitcher right now on the Dodgers. When he is on, he is unhittable. Mm-hmm. He is that good of a pitcher. And after the Dodgers making the moves that they made this offseason, Tyler Glass now paying him, Yamamoto, Ohtani will be in the rotation next year. I don't know if they're going to have any room as far as money is concerned, unless they're deferring all that money. Walker Buehler, I think there's going to be a line of teams interested in Walker Buehler if he comes back this year and has another good season. Tell us a little bit of what you know about Walker Buehler, and do you believe that the Dodgers could find a way to sign him, honestly?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we spent $1 billion this offseason. So, thinking about next offseason I think it's going to depend on the year we have. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to depend on, how healthy we are. Like losing Urias last year was huge, like huge, and he was on a contract year too. So that probably changed what we did this year because a lot of stuff became available. But I don't know. I mean, Walker he's one of our better pitchers, if not the best pitcher in 2020 and clutch. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know who his agent is, but that has a lot to do as well.
So I wanted to ask about the teams that are younger now, really emerging this year, especially with the new playoff format too. I think we heard a lot of the top teams, including the Dodgers, unfortunately for you. But the Diamondbacks obviously going to the World Series, the Orioles. Do you think that's a new ripple effect where teams are going to try to get younger all at once and still like emerge quickly right away? Because we saw a lot of the older teams, like the Mets, my Mets, who are an older team, struggle badly.
Of course, he has to bring up the Mets.
I'm bringing him up struggling.
It's in his background. Right?
Yeah.
I think the new incentives help, where if a rookie makes his debut and gets Rookie of the Year, you get another pick or something. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think with the rules making the game more exciting, it's making the game. I don't know, like back when the DH was just a big hitter, the game was a lot slower. That DH was taking up a roster, and no one was on the strap back. But now the DH kind of moved around as a rest day for guys. And if you look at the Reds in my coverage, they're so young. I saw all those guys in the past 3 years, and it was like, man, these guys are really good. And I think the ballpark helps, cover up some hitting deficiencies that they might have. But I think the youth movement is just kind of something that, for whatever reason, kind of started when I got out of the game. They stopped giving guys that are 30 opportunities in AAA, and instead they're moving those guys to independent ball, international football, and giving younger guys more opportunities to get at that stage earlier. So I think rookie contract is way less than $300 million. These veteran guys, but I think it's just a product of technology, analytics, and obviously teams trying to just kind of get cheaper while also staying competitive.
Before we let you go, obviously the Yankees made some big moves. They trade for Soto. They're adding pitching. They added Marcus Stroman. I think it was a pretty good deal for the New York Yankees, adding Marcus Stroman. If he could just keep his mouth shut, it will be in really good shape as far as if you're a Yankee fan. And, Blake Snell could be a Yankee in the next couple of weeks, maybe. I know the Yankees aren't offering him $250, which he thinks he's worth. But, hey, if they can cut it, if he can cut it down to 200, I think the Yankees will be in play. There's no question. Could you imagine talking about $200 million? I mean, seriously. Hey, spin the wheel, make the deal. $200 million. I'll take it. Sold.
Yeah.
But who do you have going to the World Series this year? If you were to make a decision right now, even without some of the moves, I mean, Hader's still not. He could be going somewhere else. Blake Snell could be going to the Yankees or somewhere else. Who do you have? Just a quick prediction. Who do you have going to the World Series?
Well, I got to say Dodgers, obviously.
Of course.
And in the American League, I see it. I don't know. The Rangers are good, man. They're really good. Like the rookie, I forget his name. What's the guy that came up late?
Josh Young.
No.
Oh, Evan Carter you're talking about?
Carter.
Yeah.
Man, he was impressive. Very impressive. And they got young. They got so many young, good controllable guys. I don't know. Like they were impressive to watch. And the Orioles. I see it as the Rangers, Orioles.
Wow, you don't have any faith in the New York Yankees, do you?
He wants Juan Soto of the Dodgers.
Come on, you don't want to see the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series?
No. I mean, I'll put it this way. Like, it's a tough time for New York teams if you look across the board. And I know you guys don't need to hear that, but
shots fired.
Like, it's tough. It's tough.
Well, it is tough. Hey, wait a second. Our hockey teams are playing pretty well.
I don't know. The Islanders lost 5-6. I'm not so sure about that.
That doesn't matter. They're playing pretty well. I mean, how about the Knicks? They're playing pretty good basketball.
New York's being saved by the Knicks and the Rangers.
Well, there you have it. I think I think the NBA is better when the Knicks are good.
Yeah, of course.
I think so too. And if you're a New York fan, you want to see the Knicks. Out of all the teams that can win a championship, you want to see the Knicks win because it's just the mecca of basketball.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it hasn't been the mecca of basketball since the 70s, baby.
It's true.
I'm just telling the truth here. I mean, I would love to see the Knicks go to NBA championship and maybe sneak in a win or two and maybe have one more year and then we'll be a championship contender. I don't think the Knicks have enough yet. I think they're a player or two away from being a contender. But hey, they're playing good basketball and hopefully they pull out a win tonight and there she blows. Anyways. I can't say anything about my teams except hopefully they play better. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a Jet fan. It's enough. I mean, I bleed green and I'm probably going to bleed it in other places I don't want to say on live radios. So and by the way, we're going to have an X-Jet come on in just a few moments. So Greg, we really appreciate you. Keep up the good work. How are you and your girl doing? I mean, how's everything going?
Good. We had a daughter. I don't know if you can see the picture.
Congratulations.
She stayed quiet. She stayed quiet the whole day. And it surprised me. I thought she was going to make an appearance.
She loves my voice. Okay,
probably. Yeah.
It's smooth. Speedy. How do you like my voice? Do I have a smooth voice?
Yes, you do.
It flows, right?
Majestic.
Do you think I could sing a lullaby to the baby?
I don't know. We're trying to have you sing an hour ago.
I don't want to scare Greg away.
I don't know.
His wife
might be too loud for a
something.
lullaby. I think you're a little too loud for a lullaby.
I don't want her to choke me. She'd be like, "Who the hell is that guy singing to my daughter?"
Exactly.
Greg, keep up the good work. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Greg Golson, he's fantastic. He really is, as always. And he knows his Dodger baseball. I can't believe he didn't put the Yankees up there. I mean, the Yankees added Juan Soto. That outfield is dangerous. But again, hey, listen, there's a lot of Yankee haters out there. It's okay. It's okay. Hopefully the Yankee fans can keep it quiet. Don't throw anything at Verdugo this year. Okay? He's a Yankee, guys. Don't throw anything. Don't throw balls. I don't know what you throw. Don't throw anything at him. Just hope that he stays healthy, especially Juan Soto, because, hey, Juan's going to make himself at least $700 million in the offseason, especially if he puts up a 50 and over 125 RBIs. Expect him to get big buckaroos, and the Yankees better open up their pockets. Maybe they learned something from the Dodgers, as we call them the deferrers. That's what we call them.
There you go.
The deferers. Do it together. We'll put the wave. Defers.
And Greg just promptly laughed as we were doing that. I guess he's not a fan of the nickname, but he did laugh, so he might be.
That's the wave, everybody. Defers.
Or maybe he's just anti the wave. Maybe that's what it is. Perfect.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on our show, we will be talking to former Vikings and Jets linebacker Erin Henderson here on the Sports Loudmouth.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Oh, little Tupac, baby. I'm not going to rap for Erin. I don't want to scare him away. First time on our show. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I am your Loudmouth. My co-host, Speedy. Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. To tune in and listen to any one of our shows, and stay tuned by looking at our local listings by going to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. We were just speaking to former MLB outfielder and current Dodgers professional scout Greg Golson. He's been on a show a couple of times, and he's fantastic. And the first time on our show, he's fantastic. The first time on our show, we are now talking to former Vikings and Jets linebacker Erin Henderson. Erin, what's up, bud?
What's going on, fellas? Can you hear us over there?
There is an echo.
There's a little bit of an echo there. What we can do is we can call Erin, and you can stay on there and put him on the phone. Easier for Erin. Here we go, Speedy. Here we go. Oh, he'd hear us, Speedy. What are you doing? Get him the call. Erin, send me your number. And Erin, you send the number. Put them on the feed. There's some kind of echo. It's okay. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, Erin Henderson here. Erin Henderson here on the Sports Loudmouth.
Listening to the Worldwide.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. We're not gonna. We have a little bit of an echo, but it's okay. As everybody knows, we have Erin Henderson on the other line. If you don't know who he is, he used to play with, obviously, the Vikings and the New York Jets. Linebacker, played in the Todd Bowles era. Erin, what's up, my friend?
What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
We're good, man. Obviously, there's a crazy day. I mean, it's crazy time right now. It's NFL season. We have the playoffs going on right now. But obviously, you haven't been in the NFL for a little while. How are you doing? What have you been doing since you've retired from the NFL?
Right now, the NFL's been interesting, but it's been good overall. It's a tough investment for sure. You know, you go from being out there playing in front of 70,000 people, a week to, trying to figure out something that kind of matches that adrenaline rush that high. So right now, I'm just kind of into real estate and thinking about getting back into coaching again and have some fun doing that. I really enjoyed that in my time in coaching. So maybe that's my calling.
Erin, I think it's your headset that's making the backlash sound. I think it is. Maybe it's the headset because it is. How about now? I think it's a headset. You hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Much
you're
better,
perfect.
much better.
You see, my producer should be on top of it, not me. But let's go again. I don't think the fans heard what you had to say. So, what have you been doing over the last last couple of years being away from the NFL?
Like I was saying, yeah, just figuring it out. So is it working now?
Yeah, it's working fine.
All right, cool. Yeah, so just figuring it out one day at a time. Got into coaching for a little bit. Took a break from that. It kind of take up a lot of time, but I'm thinking about getting back into it though.
Oh, obviously. I mean, you're an ex-NFL player, and you were pretty successful. You were in the league a pretty long time. I mean, if you look at from 2008 to 2016, you played for the Jets. You played for that Todd Bowles team. I remember those Todd Bowles teams with Brendan Marshall and Eric Decker. Tell us a little bit about obviously playing for Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is obviously he was a Super Bowl safety for the Washington Commanders, and now he's heading to the divisional game with the Buccaneers with obviously Baker Mayfield and the talent that it has over there. Tell us a little bit about Todd Bowles and what was it like playing for Todd Bowles?
I enjoyed my time with Coach Bowles. He was a player's coach for sure. Took good care of us as long as we did what we were supposed to do, handled our end of the business. Handed our end of the bargain, excuse me. And as far as practice and things like that go, he made sure that we were prepared and tuned up and ready to go, but also, healthy and ready to get out there and play. He allows you to go be a football player and put you in the best spots and the best positions to go out there and win. I think that's what you see going on with them down there right now.
So you played a lot with interesting guys on that Jets team, very interesting personalities, veteran guys. Darrelle Revis came back, obviously one of the best corners in NFL history. You had Antonio Cromartie over there, and a lot of veteran defensive guys. Tell us a little bit about those defensive players that you play with on the Jets, and also some of the veterans on offense that strived that year.
They were definitely characters. I think that's a great way to put it. But I enjoyed playing with those guys. There was always a good time, to be had. We enjoyed ourselves on and off the field. It was a good group of guys that really gelled together and meshed well together. I wish we could have had a different ending to that 2015 year because I think we were really on to something and we were getting hot at the right time and we just needed that one more game to get over the hump. But we played with a lot of talented guys, and to see like Revis getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, and I had some guys that I played with in Minnesota. And watching other guys, who have their kids now coming into the league and performing well and playing at high levels, at all pro levels. It's just amazing to see. It was a great journey. It was a great time. I think about 2015 a lot. I wish things would have went down a little bit different in Buffalo.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Vikings and Jets linebacker Erin Henderson. He played for the Vikings from 2008 to 2013, and then he played for the Jets from 15 to 16. Erin, you look at the Jets right now going into the offseason. Aaron Rodgers got hurt within 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the game. The Jets practically lost the season right in the first 2 minutes of the game. what are your thoughts what do you think the Jets need to do in the offseason to make this team better? And how do you believe, what do you believe the Jets need to do going into the offseason that could change their season next year from what we saw this past year?
I think the first thing would be the offensive line and addressing that. I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of Jets football this year, but I know they did some things well and were on track. And as far as their roster goes to being able to compete this year, on paper, unfortunately things happen with Aaron Rodgers. So, that's something that you have to address in the offseason, not only with him coming back, but, who's going to be behind him, who's going to be the backup just in case you come into another situation like this. So I think those are the two big things. Defensively, they're pretty sound, but, you can always get more depth and get faster. It's a speed league. So those are things that they have to address in the offseason.
So we always say that players playing in New York is always a wild card of how they're going to be able to handle the media, how they're going to be able to handle pressure, stuff like that. What was the experience like for you and a lot of those teammates coming in when you went to the Jets?
It was interesting at first because I was coming off of not playing in 2014. So I was kind of a story that people wanted to catch up on and kind of hear from. But I kind of got overshadowed, which is a good thing because there were so many big names in the locker room and so many people that they wanted to do the interviews with and that they wanted to talk to about different things and wanted to get the sports bites, the sound bites. So for me, it was kind of like handle the storm, so to speak, when I first got there, weather the storm. And I think I did a pretty good job of that. I think it's not as bad as people make it out to be, as long as you're taking care of what you got to take care of.
Aaron, you look at, obviously, the New York Jets, and I bring up the Jets because here in New York, the Jets were expected to be one of the better teams in the AFC. And going into the season, like I said, they lost Aaron Rodgers. They bring back Zach Wilson. He takes over after Aaron Rodgers went out in the first few minutes of the game. And going throughout the season, they had a chance to beat Kansas City. I guess the referees choked them that game. And then obviously throughout the season, they just couldn't find a way to win in the close games that they had. They had one of the better defenses in the league. They were a top 7, top 8 defense throughout the season, but they just couldn't find a way to finish the game. What do you think the Jets need to do in the offseason to make this offense more reliable in big games?
I think having A-Rod back would be a big part. If he's able to be healthy and get back out there again. I think they banked on that a lot going into the season. So that's something, like I said, that they need to address in the off season is a backup plan and making sure that they have somebody there that's ready to go. I think another back there with Breece Hall would be good. He's a dope running back, going to do some good things in the league for a while to come. So having somebody to help him with the load back there always helps. But they're not far off. I think you've seen that this year. They went out there, they competed, played tough against teams, and a lot of people wrote them off and probably didn't think they would win the amount of games that they did. But I think it kind of stands to where they are and where they've come as an organization, and the opportunity for them to go get better this offseason and come back next year and improve on what they've done.
So you playing with the Vikings, you played against Aaron Rodgers a lot, and you got to see him as a young player really grow into the MVP that he became in that 2011 season. So tell us a little bit about what it was like playing against Aaron Rodgers and those Packers team. And what can you expect for him coming back from this injury?
Oh, it sucked, man. I hated playing against A-Rod. You know what I mean? Like it was never much fun playing against him. He's a hell of a quarterback, and he's really good at what he does, and then he's only gotten better over time. He's able to manipulate the defense well with his eyes and move his feet when he needs to, still keeping his eyes downfield, can make any throw. Definitely has commanded the offense. Always admired him, respected him, and enjoyed going up to battle against him.
Aaron, speaking about, obviously, quarterbacks you played against, who was the toughest quarterback you played against, and what is there a particular game that stood out to you against that quarterback that stands out from all the rest?
That's a good question. It's kind of tough.
I'm going to guess it's either Tom Brady, okay, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, or Aaron Rodgers. Am I right? Am I getting closer?
I mean, you're in the mix, but I think being out there on the field against Mike Vick was pretty wild.
Really?
Yeah. It was when in his Philly days when I was there in Minnesota. He was in Philly. Got a chance to be out there and see it live in action. Uh, he was tough to handle. He's a lot for a defense to have to deal with as far as the game plan goes and what you want to do and how you want to contain him and control him. Uh, Tom Brady is definitely a person that I had to catch up myself. Like, it was one of those I'm out here against Tom Brady moments. But next thing you know, he's calling my number because I'm the mic. So I'm like, oh shit, snap out of it. Got to go play football now.
So you got to play with your brother, E.J. Henderson, who was a little older than you. And we've seen these brotherhoods come into the NFL, obviously the Kelsey brothers, the Watts, all these famous ones. But for you, playing with your brother, what was that like in your first couple of years with the Vikings?
Oh, it was amazing. He's 6 years older than me, so we never had a chance to play with each other prior to that. Even though we both went to Aberdeen High School, both went to University of Maryland, we missed each other as far as time goes. So that was our first time being on the field together. So to do it on the biggest stage and a storied franchise like the Minnesota Vikings and to have opportunity to be the starting linebackers out there, it was a really cool thing to be a part of and one of those things that we'll be able to tell our kids about and I'll be able to tell their kids about one day too.
We are talking to former Vikings and Jets linebacker Erin Henderson. Erin, there is a running back that dominated the league for many, many years to come, many years over the years, and really stood out from all the rest. Adrian Peterson. What was it like playing with Adrian Peterson, and what type of player was he in and out of the locker room?
It was electric being around him. He had a feeling aura about him. It's almost like Michael Jordan walking into a building at the time. So he's done all the commercials. He's got everything going, and then you go watch him play football, and it's just like it's like poetry in motion. Cat quick, but he's also powerful as a bull too. So it was always just fun to get out there and watch him. To have the opportunity to compete against him every day at practice definitely helped me in my younger days. Especially because as a scout team player, I'm going against the first team offense every day. So kind of got a chance to test myself against the best and see what it looked like day in and day out. But I definitely love playing with AP for sure.
So you played with one of the best defensive lines we've seen with the two Williams brothers. You later played with Jared Allen, who we were hearing a bunch of funny stories about a couple of weeks ago with a different guest. And a lot of these Antoine Winfield, a lot of talented defensive players on that team. What was that Vikings defense like over the years when you played?
I think we were pretty mean. I think we had a pretty nasty reputation about us. I think that people knew that even if they beat us, they was going to leave out the game feeling black and blue. It wasn't going to be a cakewalk. You was going to know you played in and you got into a dogfight. But just being out there, especially being in the dome before they tore it down, there's 67,000 people, but it's right on top of you with no sound going out of it. So everything's rocking as loud as can possibly be on third down. And to be out there and share the field with those guys, the Kevin Williams, my brother Chad Greenway, Antoine Winfield, Harrison Smith, who's still out there doing it at a high level, Antoine Winfield, the list goes on and on. Brian Robinson, I can sit here all day and name the guys that we played with and the talent that came through there that I had opportunity to learn from and grow with and go out there and compete with.
It's so funny. We brought up Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback that was so hard for you to play against, but you played with another ex-Green Bay Packer quarterback in Brett Favre. What was it like playing with one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game?
Oh, I grew up a Brett Favre fan, so I wore number 4 in high school and everything, played quarterback. Was a huge Brett Favre guy. I just loved the way that he went about his work and the way he played. He looked like he was having so much fun out there, and but he also was a real person off the field too. He had his issues, he had his problems, but he fought those and he overcame them. Was able to bounce back and continue on in his career and in his life. And so to have the opportunity to meet him was one of the few times I was probably starstruck in my life for sure. But he was cool as could be. It would have been disappointing if I would have met him. He was a jerk, but he was a pretty cool dude. Got us all Wranglers too. So that's how they're Brett. Yeah.
So you being a linebacker, the linebacker position has really changed a lot since you were playing. What do you think has been some of the significant changes we've seen in the game and some of the top linebackers? What do they emerge at today in comparison when you played?
I think right now it's a smaller linebacker, smaller, faster linebacker. You got your hybrid strong safeties. playing linebacker, and I think it's a matter of time before offenses go back to the running game more and bring back fullbacks and as the counterpunch to the counterpunch that they threw before. So I think that it was kind of starting to happen towards the end of my career, and I could feel it. The Jets brought in a first rounder that was in that same realm, and I kind of could tell that's where the game was going. Wasn't really my strong suit, but shit, I liked the way I played the game, and I liked the way that the game was played when I was playing. So it is what it is. You adapt and you grow, and I guess, like I said, since I can't do it anymore, I just get in the culture.
Erin, you mentioned Michael Vick, but you look at all these mobile quarterbacks that are in the league now. What would it have been like playing against some of these guys like Jalen Hurts and Russell? Well, you did play against Russell Wilson, but some of these dominant mobile quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson as well. What would it have been like playing against these guys and defending against some of these guys in the league now?
I think we had a pretty good one that came through when I was coming through in Cam Newton. Had a chance to play against him a couple times. It definitely adds another dimension to the game when you have a quarterback that can move and can get out the pocket and create with his feet. And I think you're going to continue to see that trend within the league, that with how fast the game is going and with the speed of it, quarterback's going to have to speed up too. So that pocket passer is going to become far more rare to see, I guess you could say. You'll see more of the guys that can move around and can scramble, even if it is not to run and take off, but just to be able to keep up with the speed.
So the grass versus turf debate has been something that a lot of these players have chimed in on. Cooper Kupp started the trend last year, and it's been a kind of a ripple effect because of all these player injuries. Where did you prefer as a player? Did you play for grass or turf? Obviously, you played in the Metrodome.
Honestly, I think I preferred grass, but that's what I grew up on. I think there are certain benefits to playing on turf as well. Certain times where the conditions can be tough or whatever if you're playing in a regular grass. But I think there is something about playing football on regular grass that it seems more natural and more the way that it should be and the way we grew up and what we're used to.
We are talking to former Vikings and Jets linebacker Erin Henderson. Erin, so obviously you're a coach. You've coached a little bit. What type of coach do you want to be? Do you want to be a college coach? Do you want to coach the linebackers? Do you want to be a defensive coordinator? Do you want to coach high school football? Or do you eventually want to coach and be a defensive coordinator in the NFL? What type of coach do you want to be moving forward in your career?
I think I got to decide what level first. And I think what level would decide what level of coaching I would want to do. So, like, if I was to go into the NFL, I think I would be good with being a linebacker coach. Mm-hmm. In college, maybe more with defensive coordinator kind of role, high school head coach, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And look at Jarrett Mayo, what he's doing right now. He takes over for Bill Belichick, one of the all-time greats. So why couldn't you do it? Why couldn't you get a job as a linebacker coach and then become a defensive coordinator? Why couldn't you do that?
And nothing to say that I couldn't. I'm really proud of Mayo for what he's done. I remember him, being at the combine together, running our 40s and talking and stuff after he ran his 4.5, and how excited he was. So he's been a good guy. He's been solid throughout my time knowing him and, watch him excel and have a great career out there in New England. Now to watch him take over the franchise is a dope thing to see.
So one of the things that's been hurting defensive players, a lot of these new rule changes, we know the roughing the passer penalty has been really overblown for much of the year, and some of these other rule changes that really have benefited the offense. What are your thoughts as a defensive player on those things?
I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is. It kind of it's just one of those things where, if those are the rules, you have to abide by them. You can sit there and you can cry and complain about it, and hopefully if hopefully the right people here, then maybe something changes. But as it is, you go out there and you play the game the way that they say you have to play it.
Erin,
I'm glad that I'm not playing it this time though, because I like my money. I would have got fined a lot.
I like some good money too, man. I mean, hey, if you're a betting man, we'll bet some money this weekend. We'll win some money. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with that.
That's what the NFL players do, or they might get suspended.
That's true too.
I don't got to worry about it no more.
That's true too. My final question for you, my friend. you look at all the great things that's happened to you over the years. Is there a particular story that you can remember, funny story or a story that stood out from all the rest in your career?
I got some stories, but not none I can really tell y'all.
Nothing.
Y'all might look at me. Y'all might look at me a little bit different if I told you.
Oh
my
no!
story.
Give us a story.
Give
Give us one story. Come on, it's not gonna. Nobody's gonna look at you differently. Come on.
That's too hard. You got now. It's too much pressure. Now it's too much of a build up. I'm gonna let you down now with the story. There's not gonna be a story good enough now.
Oh, there is. Come on, we must got one.
I got plenty of them. No, man, I really had a good time. I really enjoyed my time. Coming up at the University of Maryland, living in College Park, you're right down the street from DC. So, I had a good time, partied quite a bit, and enjoyed myself. So, one weekend, my brother came in town, was doing spring ball. So, we were back at College Park, and we go to DC Friday night. We go out, we have a good time, party, do what we do, everything else. We get back to the room about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to be up at 7 o'clock for meetings. We got a spring practice, like the one before our spring game on Saturday. So everybody else still passed out, knocked out, sleep in the rooms and stuff. I got to get up and go check in for meetings. So I'm able to get there on time and make it through my meetings. End up go out there and show my ass the entire scrimmage, man. Like I think I had like 12 tackles. I'm talking cash shit throughout, freezing and telling everybody what they can do and they can shove it and everything else. And then I went home and crashed for the rest of the night.
Hey, man, if you could do that, I mean, why couldn't you be a head coach in the NFL?
Hey, that's probably why. That's probably why. Too many nights like that. Too many nights like that.
Hey, listen, I've gone all over the world as a DJ. I've seen so much stuff. I can't even tell you. I've seen things that I can't really even speak about on live radio. So I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. And then I would have to get up the next morning and do it all over again at night. So I know all about what you're saying. But hey, man,
you got to be able to take care of business.
Damn right.
You do what you do, and you have fun doing it. But you got to make sure you can take care of what you got to take care of too.
Like Herm Edwards always said, you play to win the game.
That's it. As long as you winning, that'd be all right.
Well, it depends on what you're winning.
True.
Or you could just simplify, like our friend Rich Soybert said, just win. So my last question, Super Bowl pick right now, and what are your thoughts on the NFL playoffs?
I'm sticking at the hometown. I think the Ravens is playing good ball right now. I think they're playing the best ball right now at the right time. I think San Fran comes out of the NFC. I'm really surprised at Houston. I like what they've done out there. I think they would have been able to get with Kansas City and Buffalo a little bit better, but I think Baltimore is going to be a little too much for them.
There you go. Erin Henderson. First time on our show, Erin. I think you could do this. I think you could be a radio guy. You bring your personality.
I've done this. I've done this already too. I've done my podcast and all that. I just be chilling, bro. I like my time.
Oh, I don't blame you. I mean, you like to party, man.
Even yeah, exactly. Even now, I got it. Y'all cutting into my party time.
Oh,
you know what I mean? See,
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
I'm just messing with you.
Listen,
good, bro.
Listen. Anytime you want to party out here in Long Island, I'll show you around, take you out, and introduce you to some beautiful ladies. If you're still single, my friend.
Hey. All right. I'm with it.
I'm gonna hook you up, man. I'm not lying to you. So. I know a lot of beautiful
Long
ladies.
Island, here we come.
That's right. Why not? I mean, you played for the Jets. Have you ever checked out Long Island?
Shit, I couldn't tell you. There any strip clubs there?
There's a ton of them, my friend. A ton of them.
If you name some there, I'll tell you if I've been to them or not. That's probably the only way I'll be in Long Island.
I love this guy. He's funny, man.
The only way you catch me out there.
Oh, Erin, you are one piece of work, that's for sure. But we really appreciate you joining us, and I know you're a busy guy, and I'm taking out on your party time. So go party, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, for sure. Be easy, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Former New York Jet, former Viking, our friend now, Erin Henderson. He's fantastic.
Yep.
Great personality. And hey, listen, man, he likes to party. You heard it. He likes to party. He likes to go out and enjoy himself. Who doesn't? And he likes to go to strip bars. I mean, Speedy, you need to go to a strip bar.
No, I don't.
You need a lap dance, Speedy.
No, I don't.
You need a lap dance. You need somebody to give you a nice, beautiful lap dance.
Not gonna happen.
Have you ever had a lap dance?
You've not. No.
So
why would you expect me to have a lap dance?
You hold on one second. You've never had a lap dance. You've never had somebody grind on you.
No.
Let's hook you up, Speedy.
I'm not being force fed, so you can watch it.
I'm not going to watch it. I can't go back there. But at least you'll have some fun and maybe get off on it for the first time in your complete life.
I'm not going to manipulate it just for some agenda that you.
Hey, listen, maybe you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take Erin out and I'm going to take you out and I'm going to get you your first lap dance. How's that sound?
I don't know.
You need one.
I mean, I would like to meet Erin in person. I mean, he's a great guy.
Hold on one second. So you would rather meet Erin than get a lap dance? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, he was a fun guy to have on the show. Ex-football player.
That's not my question. That's not my question.
Great stories. Funny guy.
Not my question.
I'm not advice for that was some random whatever.
What do you mean random whatever? A random woman? I mean, a random beautiful woman gives you a lap dance. You would rather meet Erin Henderson.
Yeah, he was a great guy to have on the show.
I never said he wasn't a great guy. If Erin came out here right now, and I'm sure he's listening to it right now, and he said, "Hey, you know what? Let's go to a strip bar, but I can't wait to meet Speedy Petey." I don't know. I get it.
Erin's played with a lot of great players, even ex-NFL player. I don't know how much higher I would be on the totem pole there.
First of all, he would rather actually get a lap dance than meet you, Speedy.
Well, yes, he admitted that.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
So why would you agree with it?
Because I don't know what to expect.
What do you mean you don't know what to expect? You have a woman grinding on you. That's it. That's what to expect. How do you miss that?
I didn't say I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying that
we might have to double douche you, man.
I didn't say I would. Okay.
Triple sack.
For the record, I didn't say I wouldn't do it. I just said I don't know how much I would embrace it.
You know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to bring extra underwear for you.
Okay, whatever. I don't care what the process is. I am just unsure. That is it. I didn't say I wouldn't do it if that was the case.
I get to pick the woman.
Oh, hopefully it's not the one on your flight.
Oh no, she's no hippo. That's for sure. Anyways, before we go, let's go through our picks, and we'll do our, obviously Saturday's games and then Sunday's games for the NFL. You ready, Speedy?
All righty. So we'll start with the Erin, his local team, the Baltimore Ravens, and his Super Bowl pick, taking on the Houston Texans in this one. I think the Texans impressed me a lot with the game plan that they had against the Browns. I look at the stretching the field with the tight ends the way they're able to. David Njoku, who was dealing with some injury issues at the end of the season, and even Harrison Bryant had an impact, or not. Wrong team. Dalton Schultz had a good impact in that game too. And Brevin Jordan, a rookie guy that I think really made a difference. And I think that's going to be a good matchup to expose the Ravens. Marcus Williams has really struggled in coverage. And I think CJ Stroud will look at that kind of thing. I just worry about Nico Collins going up against Marlon Humphrey. I don't think he'll have the same success as he did against Denzel Ward. So I am going to take the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson has a nice game running. I think Gus Edwards, like you're saying, could get a touchdown, but I think the Ravens win it close. Houston does cover though. I agree with the betting guys. Give me the Ravens 27-21.
Oh, I love this game. I think it's going to be a fun, high-flying game. CJ Stroud obviously is going to win Rookie of the Year. 63.9% completion percentage, 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, as he's thrown the least amount of interceptions in all of the NFL out of all starters. It's unbelievable. He's one of the best young rookies we've seen come out of the draft in the last 10 years. And put up a really good game against a Browns team, one of the, if not the best defense in all of football throughout the season. But this isn't Joe Flacco, okay? This is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is high-flying, runs the ball very, very well, probably the best mobile quarterback in the NFL. 67.2% completion percentage, 3,678 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think he's going to have over 75 yards running in this game. He's going to dominate on his leg with his feet. And I think Zay Flowers is going to score at least a touchdown in this game. Another rookie that looks really, really good. 77 receptions, 858 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I like him. Odell Beckham will have a touchdown in this game, as well as he's been very explosive in the playoffs. We saw him with the Rams. If he didn't tear his ACL, he probably wins the MVP of the Super Bowl. So I think the Texans deserve all the credit in the world with obviously D'Amico Ryans, who I think is going to be up for Coach of the Year, might win Coach of the Year. And Nico Collins played very well last week, and 80 receptions for 1,297 yards and 8 touchdowns. Fantastic year, but he's the only guy, and all they have to do is stick Marlon Humphreys on him, and it's going to turn them into a one-dimensional team, and that's why I think it will be close. They will cover, but I'm going to have the Baltimore Ravens moving on to the AFC title game.
All righty, so we go to the NFC now with the Lions and the Buccaneers. And this is interesting. The Lions at home, I like their game plan a lot for the Rams the last week game. I was mentioning the red zone defense being a very big key. And Tampa, in the first half, had to settle for a lot of field goals. And I think that could make a big difference when they haven't been able to finish drives. Rashad White is a good running back, but a smaller running back. They don't really have that other power guy to get in the end zone. So I think it'll be a lot like the Lions-Rams game. I think you're going to see Tampa really stretch the field. Baker Mayfield, I think, has over 300 yards, but I think the Lions will hold their own in the red zone. So give me the Lions in this one. I'm going to say 27-23.
Oh, I think this is going to be a very close game. I believe the Buccaneers will have a chance to win. I think they'll have the lead going into the fourth quarter. But you're going into Detroit, and Detroit has been sensational this year. Campbell likes to go on 4th and 1s and 4th and 2s. I expect it against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are a very good defensive team. Throughout the second half of the season, they've been one of the better defensive teams. They have great linebackers and a great front seven. Jared Goff, who played very well against the Rams, obviously, Matthew Stafford had a better game than Jared Goff, but he was very efficient. This year, 67.3% completion percentage, 4,575 yards, 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Sensational year. Was at one point an MVP candidate. And St. Brown, I think, is going to have a sensational game. But I think the guy that's going to stand out in this game, that's going to win this game for them, is Laporta. Sam Laporta, I think, is the next up-and-coming tight end in the league. Travis Kelce, whatever you want to call him, Kittle, George Kittle. This guy has it all. He could block, he could catch, and he plays hurt. I think he's sensational. I think he's going to play a big part in this game. And by the way, I believe Gibbs is going to be able to rub him the ball in this game, and that's going to be the difference maker. Give me the Lions on the money.
All right, the Green Bay Packers. Can they continue their miracle run against the 49ers? Our betting guys think that they could cover. I don't. I think this is going to be a tougher one because the 49ers have the two biggest things to hurt the Packers defense. Dallas, you didn't really see expose it very well with Tony Pollard, who's a smaller running back, but Christian McCaffrey and even Elijah Mitchell, I think even in short yardage situations, I could see having an impact in this game. George Kittle, I think has a big game in this one against these Packers linebackers that are a little bit smaller. And I don't think Jordan Love has that same success. I think he'll play well. I do think he'll have some turnovers in this game, though, against that Niners pass rush. This is a tougher interior offensive line matchup for the Packers to have to deal with. I like Jaden Reed to play well in this game, but that's really it. I don't think Dobbs will have the same effect. Give me the Niners in this one. I'm going to say 31-20.
Well, right now, the Green Bay Packers are a Cinderella team. They're the youngest team right now in the playoffs, the youngest team in the NFL. Jordan Love was sensational this year, 64.3 completion percentage, 4,159 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He was sensational against the Cowboys, but really stuck out is the Cowboys couldn't stop the run. Aaron Jones was all over the place, 3 touchdowns, and just was explosive coming back and at 100% healthy. This is the 49ers. This is one of the best front sevens in the league, if not the best front seven in the league. Nick Bosa is very explosive. I think they're going to be able to stop the run and make them one-dimensional. I think Brock Purdy is going to have a big game. I think he'll throw close to 300 yards in this game. And I'm going to tell you, Brandon Ayuk will score. Christian McCaffrey will score. Brock Purdy will score with his legs. I believe this will be over 50. I'm going to tell you right now, the over-under 45.5, I think it is. Bet it over 50. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, but I think, I think, and I know San Francisco is going to win this game at home. Give me San Francisco on the money.
All right, and our final one, the West Kansas City Chiefs going to Buffalo to take on the Bills. This one, I know you were saying this, you think it's a higher scoring game. I actually am going to go a different direction. I feel like the snow benefits the running more in this game. So I think you're going to get a lot of running, but then field goals later on. The Chiefs defense will hold their own, and the Bills defense has been very good in the red zone in their winning streak right now. But I am going to take the Bills in this one. I still think they have more trustworthy options. I think the tight ends, like they did against the Steelers, will be able to expose those Chiefs safeties with Brian Cook hurt, a lot of backup guys playing, and I think that will be the difference in this game. And Josh Allen rushing, I think, will be another big key in this game. So I am going to take the Bills in this one. I think it'll be a little more lower score. I know you're thinking, well, this is the over. I'm going to go say Buffalo. I'm going to say 23-17.
I don't know if Gabe Davis is going to play, and Stefan Diggs is not healthy going into the game. And that could be a huge, huge problem going into Sunday. But I think Jared Allen, right now, I think Allen is as good a quarterback right now. I said Jared Allen. I don't know why I call him Josh Allen, because we were talking about Jared Allen.
Yep.
Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's played as good as any quarterback in the second half of the season. He really brought this Bills team back and winning the division where it looked like it was Miami's division to win. And really, they ran the ball very well. Cook was running the ball very well this year. Over 237 attempts, 1,122 yards. He did only have 2 touchdowns, but I think Josh Allen is going to be able to run in this game. I don't think Kansas City is going to be able to stop Josh Allen, his big body, when they need to, put pressure on this defense. I think they're going to be able to put pressure on the defense. I think Stefan Diggs will score a touchdown in this game. But again, Kansas City will put up points. We know what Kansas City could do. Travis Kelce will have a touchdown. I do believe they're going to hold Pacheco to bare minimum. And this is a Buffalo Bills team that likes to stop the run. I expect them to stop Pacheco. They're going to make them one-dimensional, and they're going to make Patrick Mahomes make mistakes in the middle of the field. It will be very close, and I think it'll be high scoring. And this might go to overtime, but it's the Buffalo Bills at home. It's not Kansas City. It's in Buffalo this time. And I think that's the advantage the Buffalo Bills have. And all the Swifties could be dancing and doing whatever the hell they want, but they're not going to be dancing in this game because Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are moving on to the AFC title game to meet the Baltimore Ravens. Give me Buffalo on the money.
So they finally overcome their overtime demons after they made the rule for them, and now they finally do it.
It's been crazy, this show, because all our guests, they had an echo. We couldn't hear them. I keep telling Speedy to make sure that these guys you can hear them. So hopefully this doesn't happen again. But I want to thank Erin Henderson. He was fantastic for whatever was happening with his phone and everything. We did get the interview out, and I really appreciate him joining us. And hopefully we didn't bother him or ruin any of his drinking time with his buddies or whatever the heck he's doing right now. So thank you to Erin Henderson. And thank you to former MLB outfielder and current Dodgers professional scout, our friend Greg Golson, for joining us. He was fantastic. By the way, enjoy football this weekend, the divisional games. This is obviously everybody says the wild card games are their favorite time of the year. I think it's the divisional games because this is the best football you're going to watch all season long. And with the teams that are in it, I mean, who doesn't want to see Buffalo and Kansas City play against one another? The last time we saw it in the playoffs was 2 years ago. It went to overtime. Gabe Davis, I think, had 3 or 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, yeah.
4 touchdowns in the game. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, the last 5 minutes of the game went back and forth. And the rules changed in the playoffs in overtime when Patrick Mahomes took the ball took the Kansas City Chiefs all the way down the field to win the game and never gave Josh Allen another chance to throw the ball. So I think it's going to be different this year. It might go to overtime. I think it's going to be high scoring. It's going to be fun. I think the Lions being in the divisional game is so fantastic. The Buccaneers, who would have thought that they would be there? The Texans. I mean, there's so many surprises right now during the divisional series. And now you're getting the divisional games. And now you get a chance to see some of these young players, these young up and coming teams, even the Green Bay Packers. Should they be there? I mean, the young up and coming quarterbacks and all these teams that we're expecting to see here every single year. So it's going to be a fun weekend.
Yeah, it definitely is. And those divisional games are usually, besides the Giants-Eagles one last year, they usually are close for the most part. By the way, I forgot to mention, Reno Johnny did send over some picks. He couldn't make it tonight because he was coaching, but he did have the Texans plus 9.5. So he agrees with Wes on that one. He has the Packers covering as well, plus 10, Bucks covering plus 7, and then the Bills on the money line minus 150.
Well, thank you to Reno Johnny. So those are more picks for all you betting men or betting women that, bet on Reno, bet on Wes, bet on me. I'm telling you, that final pick, my parlay, go with it. I'm telling you, go with it. You'll win some money. I think Ayuk, Purdy, and McCaffrey will score in that game. And I think you'll win some money. You bet whatever you want. You bet $100, you'll bring a lot of money home to your mama.
Brock Purdy with the tush push.
Bring it home to mama.
Brock Purdy with the tush push. Suck it, Eagles fans.
Are you going to bring it home to mama?
Not this weekend.
No, just bring it home to mama.
She's not coming this weekend.
Well, but I'll bring it home to mama.
No, you won't.
What do you mean? I'll bring it home to
No,
mama.
you won't.
I mean, I'm offering.
Good for you.
I'm offering.
Good for you.
I didn't say your mama. I'm bringing her home to mama.
All right. Well, you could do it to anyone else's.
Hold on one second. I didn't say anybody else's. I just said I want to bring it home to mama.
Sure. All right. You want to roll with your...
So let's do it together.
You want to
bring it home to mama.
You want to roll with your cliche saying? Go ahead.
I mean, are you going to bring it home to mama?
I guess not. I don't know.
Bring it home to granny?
Well, technically, yes.
Oh, there you go. So show us what you're going to do for granny.
I don't know.
You said you're going to bring it home. So what
I
are you gonna
don't know.
What are you bringing home to granny? You said you're technically bringing it home to granny. So what are you bringing home to granny?
I guess football knowledge.
You're going to sit there and have a conversation with grandma about football knowledge. Probably think you're nuts.
Yeah, she's more of a she likes baseball more.
All right. So does she drop knowledge with you when it comes to baseball?
No, but she does watch the teams that she likes a lot. So she's very
Do you drop bows with her?
Bows?
Bows, yeah.
No, I don't drop bows.
Yeah, drop bows, you know?
I do not drop bows.
You know? What kind of meat does she like?
She likes pretty much everything.
She likes beef?
Yeah.
What kind of sausage does she like?
Sweet.
Sweet? Dark?
Sweet.
And so what is sweet? Is that
lighter?
Dark? Lighter. So she likes it white.
Yeah, the Italian one.
All right, the Italian sausage. All right.
Sweet one.
All right. It's a great show, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us as always. Thank you to all the fans out there that tune in to us and downloads, 53,000 downloads all over Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you to all the fans in 3 months, 53 downloads for the Sports Loudmouth. We really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the entertainment that we deliver to you. Sorry for the two guests and with their phones and everything like that. I want to apologize to the fans, but hey, we got the interviews out and they were fantastic. They really were. So thank you. Reach out to Erin, thank him, and we'll get him on the show again. And also shout out to Greg Golson as well.
Congratulations on his kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on his beautiful daughter. And I was going to sing her a lullaby, but I don't want to scare her.
I don't know. Yeah, you seem pretty intimidating. I don't know if you would be able to sing a lullaby.
Rock my baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will spunk. Oh, all right, there we go. Spunk. Yeah. You never heard of the word spunk?
Not in that context.
Well, I'm adding my own words.
I see that.
I do that a lot.
Yes, you do like to invent your own words. I know.
Well, listen, man.
Well, it is a word, but it's your own context for it.
Listen, Granny is going to paddle you to bed, okay? She's going to paddle you to bed. Anyways, thank you to the fans. Listen to the Weekend Crunch. Are the Islanders playing on Saturday?
No, they are not.
So there you go. No pregame show for the Islander fans. I apologize, but we will be back next week. I'm sure there's a Saturday game for the Islanders. But thank you to all the fans. Keep listening to us. Weekend Crunch, 103.9 LI News Radio. All you have to do to tune in is you go to LI News Radio. If you don't live in New York, go to LI News Radio on iHeartRadio, and you can tune in at 7 p.m. on Saturday night with me and Speedy Petey. Until then, until next week, Wednesday, do we have any guests?
Not planned at the moment, but Sean Merriman was interested in coming on. Maybe him, possibly again, for the first time in a couple of years, but
that's right.
He was interested in coming on.
Does he want to fight?
Maybe.
Does he want to grapple?
Maybe. You can ask him.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to bring him. We'll bring him to a nice MMA event, and then he'll grapple with you and bend you like a pretzel.
Of course he will.
We'll tie two of his arms behind his back, so he only can use his legs. Maybe you have a chance.
He'll still win.
He'll still win. How he's gonna win if he can't use his arms?
I would trust him to know that. He has a company of fighting. I would trust him to know what to do.
I'll teach
against
you.
me.
I'll teach you. Anyways,
I don't think that's gonna make a difference.
Anyways,
no offense to your teaching. I don't think that's gonna make a difference.
Oh, really? Are you attacking my?
No. I said no offense to your teaching.
My knowledge is good.
No. Your knowledge is fantastic.
My knowledge is good.
Your knowledge of fighting is fantastic. I don't think it's gonna work on somebody with my body type.
My knowledge. You said knowledge.
Okay, whatever.
That's a new word. I mean, we should put that in a Webster dictionary. Knowledge.
Sure. If
you know what? We'll say. Dodge the dollar, okay? Knowledge.
Okay. Regardless, I was not insulting your knowledge of teaching fighting. I was insulting my own body type.
So if I tied $1 to a string, would you follow it?
I don't know.
You could dodge it.
Sure.
Dodge it. Knowledge. Right there.
Sure.
All right, there we go. We figured out a new word. So, ladies and gentlemen, the new word of the Webster Dictionary for Speedy Petey, the Speedy's Webster Dictionary of the week. Dollage, dodging $1. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, this is Errol Marks and Speedy Petey and the Sports Loudmouth and Scoops. We will talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.